is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Yeah, buddy. Absolutely. Get those C's in the air. What's that C for? Chocolate? I'm just a kid from Chicago. Yeah, buddy. Southside in particular. What up, 80C Vote? We just some kids from Chicago. Big ups to Scooter Chose. We just some kids from Chicago. Welcome, welcome to Chi-Town's very own, the Self Luv Show. Vision. Where our motto is, on earth as it is in heaven. Big ups to the ancestors. Big ups. And also, as above, so below, we could be found Malcolm exclusively right here on the YouTube channel. This definitely ain't that network, as we say. The TATN. Absolutely. This is your co-host, 9 Mills, also known as Self. What down, Chi-Town, what down. Repeat after me. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. Today is Hump Day, Witness Day. We live 7/7/21 at 7 p.m. Chi-Town time. And we like to acknowledge you cats can be any place in this phenomenal universe. And thankfully, we all Scooter chose to be here together. Here together. What down? What you manifesting today, Self?
Love. Man, I'm manifesting love. About you, so.
You know me, Noopy. Pure, unmolested, unfettered, oft, tough, pure, Yahshua, mother's love, bro. Mother's love. So what's been going down in the your neck of the shy, bro?
Well, you know, you want I'm gonna say something about the weather, but just to keep the running joke. Man, the Bears are looking at Arlington Heights racetrack. They put a bid up for it.
Yeah, they're the old McCaskey / Hallis force the hand of the city so they can get a better deal. I mean, I think it's asinine personally. It's asinine. You reward, the white flight and the pink flight, and then you want to move the bears out there, and it's just asinine. And for Mayor uh, Lori Lightblunt, um, we've got to push and keep our squad in our city. There's places on the lakefront, Self Love, south over there on the lake. I mean, can we make something happen? It doesn't have to be on the lakefront. They could build it
You
right
know,
smack dab in Inglewood.
yeah, if they wanted to.
Yeah.
She's committed to keeping them here, so that's what she said. She said it's just a play on trying to get a better deal, and I'm committed to keep you here, and y'all should be more concerned about the players y'all put on the field and beating Green Bay.
Yeah, but she doesn't have to be, smugums and a smug factory about it.
Not at
Because
all.
every NFL team has their own stadium, and they have to come up with a plan where they can have their own stadium, and B, have that stadium be within the city of Chicago.
Exactly. Oh man. Wow. You're right. And we got a great show for y'all today. Looks like he got stuck. I haven't seen this, but we got a great show today, and looking forward to speaking with Brother Jeffrey Beckham. And yeah, well, we had a complete crash by 9, and we are going to roll. Today we have for you Brother Jeffrey Beckham, and we have some announcements, I'm sure. I don't think I have those though. Well, we're gonna have a amazing show, and y'all already know it's a live show. Stuff happens, and when you get lemons, you make some lemonade, some lemon pie, some lemon meringue, and you keep it moving. So that's what we're going to do today. I wish I knew the announcements. Oh, I got an announcement. My homeboy Wakil, happy born day. Blessed 50 trips around the sun. Hope you're enjoying it, brother. And I see Eddie Sevo is in the house. Eddie Sevo. It's my bro. Dope artist. Check him out. Get him on YouTube. He's got some songs on Spotify. And we are moving. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the bell. We're doing this organically. We have to grow this organically. It's what we've been ordained to do. So we need your help to organically grow. Gonna need you to share with like minds. Share it with people would enjoy this content. I know you know them. They're out here. And we're bringing some, intriguing content every week, no matter the topic or guest. Yeah. Yeah, no matter the topic or guest, we're going to bring you some information that's going to grow the Self Love Nation. And that's what we're working on. So we need your help. That's the only way we're going to be able to do it. We can't do it by ourselves because, can't listen to ourselves or anything of the section on this live format. So probably we'll get back to announcements and such when 9 gets back. But until then, we have the Self Love Show quote of the day. If we as a people realize the greatness from which we came, we would be less likely to disrespect ourselves. If we, as a people, realize the greatness from which we came, we would be less likely to disrespect ourselves. Marcus Messiah Garvey. And as you know, we're building this on a platform, more growth and development platform. So I want you to check out this video, and I'll be right back at you. Silverback More Growth and Development Platform. Number 1, repair our nation via reparations. We demand our silver back. Number 2, to connect our breadwinners with our activists. And 3, show an accurate depiction of African American Chi-Town. 4, to shine a light on positive influence. 5, heal our community one person at a time. 6, to provide an unfiltered platform for our influencers. 7, recycle the black dollar. 8, to provide mentors for the mentorless. 9, close the gap between us and our pink kinsmen. Get her closed. Yeah, the More Growth and Development Platform. That's what we are using as our platform to bring change. And it's very important. All 9 points. And there's a 10th one that we need to protect our women and children. That's also extremely important. It's of the utmost importance that you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, share far and wide. It's the only way we're going to grow this organically. We are not paying for views or subscribers. There are no bots in our lives. Just doing this organically, y'all. And we need your help. So come on with the help, y'all. Come on with it. And I'm looking forward to this conversation with Brother Jeffrey Beckham Jr. He's a great brother. Very good artist. And he has a perspective that is going to expand the self-love nation. Wow. I really like the quote of the day. I had never heard that one. Excellent. Let's see. Oh, yeah, the first round of the teas are out, and they should be on their way to their designations. Looking forward to that. It's going to be expansive, help us grow. Walk around with those on, you know? This is a very important movement, and we're at it to make it happen. There's no way it's not going to happen, because we're going to stick to it, stick together, and grow it. And that's going to be a beautiful situation. Okay, looks like we have 9 back. It's not all the way back though. I know how that goes. I've been booted the last 2 shows.
Man, this is
I got booted twice the last 2 shows. So I know.
Man, listen. Brother Beckham, we're gonna leave you in the cream room. We'll be with you very shortly. Very forward to this conversation. Man, bro, that was just
crazy.
Really bizarre, bro. Really, 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 really bizarre. But we appreciate you guys' patience out there with the technical stuff. So we're gonna jump into this. Self, yeah, that was a great quote of the day, brother.
Yeah.
Man, Marcus Garvey. If we as a people realize the greatness from which we came, our ancestry, we would be less likely to disrespect ourselves and thus one another. That's pretty awesome.
It is.
Man. But bro, since we got a little behind, I'll just talk about it. Yeah, bro, it was a explosion out here in LA. Right? Major explosion in South LA. I mean, I actually heard it here from the crib.
Wow.
Turned out 12, okay, had gotten a hold of some illegal fireworks and said they didn't know how much it was in some sort of protective truck. Didn't drive out to a desert or an unincorporated area.
Decided to explode the truck there.
In the hood. In the hood. Didn't do it in Beverly Hills.
Well, you'll know that.
Oh, this thing went massive. The feds are investigating them now. Trying to figure out what the hell.
Who, what, when, why, or why, where, or why. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. People were injured, bro.
Man. Oh, yeah. Somebody's got to pay for that.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, these people are livid, man. Livid.
They should be.
You should see the damage and how big the explosion was. It was just awful. And then you had the police come out. Yeah, it was us, and we miscalculated. We didn't know how much we had, and it was volatile, so we had to explode it. Really? Your job is to just pull over in the hood. I'm getting out of here. You got to blow it up here. Instead of taking a risk like they did on Starsky and Hutch and Chips. Remember Punch and John? You better drive it, Punch. You better drive it, John. You know what I mean?
Punch it.
Yeah, the other one's on the motorcycle. The brakes don't work. Punch and John. Chips. Yeah. All right, but bro, did you hear about the big military and somehow the big military is getting their guns in the hands of Pookie? Did you hear anything about that?
I did. I was reading an article about that.
Yeah, well, big ups to CBS News and also production. We queued up something here for everybody in the Self Love Nation. But yeah, we got this brother, Jeffrey Beckham, and we're going to get him in the building extremely
An Associated Press investigation found that many stolen U.S. military firearms are resurfacing on our streets. The investigation also found that at least 1,900 military weapons have been lost or stolen between 2010 and 2019. However, that number is actually thought to be much higher. Associated Press reporter Kristen Hall co-authored that report, and she joins me now from Nashville, Tennessee. Kristen, I think this is shocking to people. So from the very beginning, tell us which types of firearms are being stolen from the military, and are other items also being stolen?
Well, our investigation found that a lot of the lost weapons are rifles and handguns. These are the workhorse weapons in the military's arsenal, but we also found incidents involving machine guns and grenade launchers.
Well, I mean, again, it just sounds insane that grenade launchers are being stolen from the U.S. military and winding up on our streets. Do we know how this is happening? How have people been able to steal military weapons undetected? And especially given the tremendous number of them, how are these weapons being obtained?
Well, we went through a lot of reports of criminal investigation reports that are done internally by the military. And what we found that is that weapons are especially vulnerable to corrupt insiders, people who are responsible for securing these weapons, people who know how to exploit the weak points in the military's enormous supply chains. But often, too, weapons disappear without a paper trail. Military investigators have to close cases without finding the firearms or the person responsible because shoddy records kind of lead to dead ends.
So walk us through what your investigation found. You're saying that there are people who are insiders who are exploiting these weaknesses. At what level are they taking these weapons, and how then do they end up on our streets?
Well, for instance, an example in California, military police officers stole 26 AK-74 assault rifles from Fort Irwin a decade ago. Some of those were sold to a Fresno street gang. And authorities in California are still picking up some of these weapons.
And so, Kristen, I think that, again, this just seems so mind-boggling. How aware is the military of these stolen weapons, and what are they doing to try and prevent further theft of these?
Well, the military says that they take these losses and these incidents very seriously. They believe that the number of weapons lost is a very small percentage of their total number of weapons. But, you know, they do acknowledge that also weapons accountability is a part of military routine. It's drilled into soldiers and troops as soon as they enter the service.
And so it didn't sound necessarily like anything other, like additional measures are being taken. Correct me if that's wrong. I guess I'm sort of wondering, Kristen, when you had this investigation, was it shocking to see how 1,900 weapons over the course of 9 years were not only missing, but some of them actively stolen by military members who then sold them to street gangs, and then it was used in violent crimes. Beyond just the idea that as part of the honor code, it is being instilled in people in all ranks that they need to not steal and commit these sorts of actions. But what more can be done to actually hold the military more accountable in tracking these missing weapons, and what response have you received from the military at the conclusion of your investigation?
Well, I can say that when we published our story on Tuesday, the Senate Armed Service Committee did have a hearing. They talked to the Army Secretary, and she indicated that she would be open to new oversight on weapons accountability in light of the information that we have in our report. The Pentagon used to share annual updates about stolen weapons with Congress. That requirement to do so ended years ago. So there does seem to be some indication that Congress is looking at this issue.
All right. Very enlightening and shocking investigative reporting. Kristen Hall, thank you.
I agree. That's crazy. My goodness. Man. So the weapons is just out there.
Yes, sir. And I think they're burying the lead a bit, Self Love, meaning 12, the military 12, are somehow their gang, quote unquote, allegedly, is somehow putting these illegal street guns into the hand of the, quote, social clubs, end quote, on the streets all over America. And of course, we know this has been going on for decades. And then now those Karens sit up there and act so bewildered and puzzled and surprised, and the honor code. And I can't believe they took an honor code, and people are, I just can't believe this. You know, it's a big money grab at the expense, at the blood of our people.
Facts. And just over and over and over again, they are weapons that are, you know, either sold or just handed out to people in our neighborhoods and to cause havoc. Nothing else, no other reason.
To justify militarizing the police departments and militarizing our communities and building more prisons. And the same thing is happening again. Now there's a quote unquote big rise in crime, and it's bigotry as usual. And every ignorant African-American that they could find from under a rock and put on camera, they're hoisting them out on camera, and all the media outlets are doing it. And it's all backed by the fraternal order of police and you know, their big money machine. And then we as allegedly, okay, and we as a people, we share these links, we discuss this nonsense. And I would just suggest that we can all just say, you know what, whenever we come across these situations, hey, I'm gonna pray for that guy. You know, we need to move like them and show the sympathy that they show one another when they show up in these situations, right?
Facts.
But we just pile on one another through some sort of conditioning and hatred of self.
Facts.
You
Facts
know?
that don't make sense. You're exactly right, man. Is, you know, we gotta grow up. Gotta
we
get
don't
out of that.
We don't have to watch it. I mean, if the media is programming the world to see us in a negative way, and we are watching it, we're watching it and sharing it, that means they're programming us to see ourselves in a negative way.
Facts.
It's not any information. It's not designed to inform or educate the people as it should be.
Not at all. It's to denigrate and make the world look at us as monsters and not worthy of life. So when we get killed or whatever, mowed down by tyranny, they just pile on and say, yeah, that's what they deserve.
Hey, but before we get this brother who's a giant, who's waiting patiently in the cream room, this is 2 minutes on how not to move. Really, this is how not to move, people. And we'll just run the video and we'll see if you guys can figure out why we're saying to our people, this is how not to move.
A TikTok creator going viral for a video that picks apart the argument for reparations.
Fox News.
Listen.
Oh my God.
I'm seeing a lot of talk about reparations on TikTok. It's 2021. How are we to determine who gets reparations and who doesn't? Reparations as the first step to healing? The first step to healing is forgiveness.
That video has been viewed over 100,000 times. And joining me now to discuss is the woman who posted it, Savannah Edwards. Savannah, thanks for being here. Why did you choose to make this video?
No ups.
Why did I choose to make this
Hear her
video?
out. Hear her out. Be
It was
open-minded.
kind of heartbreaking to me to see so many people think that in order for us to receive any kind of healing from the past, that we needed financial compensation from the government.
Okay.
So I just wanted to speak out on that.
One of the common refrains in
Give her a
support
sandwich.
of reparations was articulated by
That's what
one
she wants.
Tulsa
She wants a
pastor
donut.
who writes, quote, "I think we cannot have true reconciliation and healing without reparations. Reparations are a biblical form of reconciliation and healing. I just hope that our
Big
elected
ups.
officials
Yes.
have the courage to do what they know I feel is right." What's a better alternative to reparations in your estimation? Again, you're a follower of Christ. This pastor's a follower of Christ.
She's a Christian.
I think as a pastor, you're responsible for your flock, your congregation. Your job is to preach the word of God to them. And if you're not preaching that forgiveness is the first step to any kind of healing, you're leading your flock astray. So before we even talk about forcing people who weren't even alive back then to pay for the sins of the dead,
It's monkey
we need to
ball
start
business.
taking care of our own healing. And the first step to that is forgiveness.
In response to your TikTok, one TikTok user commented the following: "Why should I forgive them for the way they look down and continue to look down on my people?" Again, continuing with this concept of forgiveness. What's your response?
People are going to say all kinds of things about you. You can't control what other people do. You can't control what other people say. You can only control your response. The only person you have control over is you. No one else is responsible for your healing. You have to take those first steps. And as unfair as that may sound, that's just the truth.
Along these lines, you also have stated that you do not support critical
I think she's going to be the new Aunt Jemima on the bottle.
I understand the intention behind critical race theory, the intent to want to teach our young people about racism and how it has affected our society. But I think what it does is it teaches white kids that they're inherently superior and they should feel bad about it. And it teaches young Black children that they're inherently disadvantaged. And I think the last thing the Black community needs right now is for children to grow up thinking they're disadvantaged. That just sets us all back.
And they don't already?
Savannah Edwards, look, I think we'd all be naive to think that there is not racism in this world, but I find your perspective on all of this absolutely fascinating. It's going to be interesting to see.
He's like, wow.
Where our society goes. Do they follow Savannah Edwards or do they follow critical race theory? We will see. And we'll have you back, Savannah Edwards.
Yeah, they'll have her back.
Thank you.
They sure will.
So why is that how not to move before we get our guest on? Why, just briefly.
There's a certain level coonery going on there. Well, we are some of the most forgiving people ever. And we've been forgiving over and over and over and over, and it doesn't result in anything. So why do you think that that's an answer when, reparations is, the answer?
Yeah. Yeah, you said it all. I mean, I think that pretty much spoke for itself. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and forgiveness is one thing, but, there is atonement, as well.
Facts.
Yeah, and I don't think Christ, as they call him, I don't think he moved the way he moved so that everybody could become female cats.
Hey, definitely not the, one I studied. Now the one that they try to portray and put up there out there. I don't know.
Yeah, but let's go ahead, man. And, it's time. They're not here for us. So, whenever
appetizers.
Yeah, man. Yes.
Let's go on ahead and quench the self-love nation's thirst.
Absolutely.
Next Wednesday.
We'll get you up.
What's that, bro?
1 minute.
Tomorrow's the 1st.
Okay, yeah. Tomorrow's the 1st.
So we got Jeffrey Beckham Jr., bro.
All right.
Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to come present on this organization that's really close to my heart. I'll give you a little backstory about me very quickly so that you understand, like, I feel like I'm amongst my people. By default, I'm a techie. I worked for a long time, CS major, University of Missouri, got out of school, went into sales, did a little bit of healthcare, and then went into healthcare tech. So I used to build hospital information systems and bidirectional interfaces with like Quest and LabCorp, and finally worked for a middleware company called Atlas. And so healthcare was my lane. In 2009, I saw the opportunity to start my own firm to do some of the same consulting work that I was doing for the healthcare.
Yeah, that brother coming in here Wednesday.
That's what's up. It's gonna be a great conversation. Known this brother since New Hoops.
Tonight we continue to highlight the Black history makers in Chicago, the people who are breaking barriers and inspiring future generations.
For one man, that meant finding a new calling in an old skill.
Describing your style, how would you put it?
So I always tell people it's like neo-contemporary abstract. I really focus in on trying to bring color out.
Jeff Beckham's new
Yes, sir.
Bridgeport art
Production,
studio
if
is
you
small
could
and
decrease
modest,
volume,
but his
please.
pieces are bold.
I wanted to share stories of people in my mind I see as super.
Appreciate you.
And for him, those are powerful Black figures
Jumping
in American
into the
history,
building.
people of color owning their own
We got my brother,
Why do you think the medium of art speaks
Yo.
differently?
I think it breaks
Jeffrey
down
Beckham
barriers.
Jr.
It's important that we actually get to tell these stories the way
Pushing
that they were
achievement.
actually laid out.
Like Ruby Bridges, the 16-year-old
Graduate
girl who
University
stood
of
up for
Missouri,
segregation.
Delta Omega brother,
Doing a lot of positive
entrepreneur,
Yes, sir.
really stands out of
CEO,
mentorship.
Chicago Scholars, Artivist. I believe that's a word I
We
created.
would see everybody in a month.
Artivist.
A year later,
Damn good
we're
artist.
Still not there. And I think what I've seen with the information I've been given,
And,
even some of the data around student achievement in
Silverback.
the city, is that the cracks are starting to show.
So that's going to be, I'm looking forward to that.
We're going to bring this
conversation
brother
myself.
into the building.
Lots of achievement.
If y'all in the chat can give him that electronic
Guess we can just,
welcome.
parlay that into words.
And
just,
Self Love and I will
words out there.
And so I do what it takes to be successful.
give our
Because, you know, when I go home, you know,
physical welcome. Yo,
Yes.
brothers.
Yes.
Yo,
Noob.
Noob.
Hey, brother, I want to thank you so much for doing this and welcome you to the Self Love Show. I am looking forward to this conversation because I know it's going to be impactful.
Well, I appreciate it, man. You know, I admire you a great deal as my brother, my big brother for many years. And so if you call, I'm always going to show up.
Appreciate you, Noob.
Yeah, he's definitely a noob to be admired, Brother Beckham. Definitely a noob to be admired. And Brother Beckham, is there anything that you know that you wanted to put a shout out to or promote or market today? Before we jump into it.
Yeah, always Chicago Scholars, which we're going to talk about today.
Yes, sir.
ChicagoScholars.org is the nonprofit that I lead as the first Black male CEO. So that, first and foremost, check out the website. We always need mentors and volunteers, people who can help stand in the gap for first generation and low income students who come from our city. Second to that, art by Jeff Beckham. Some of my work, I put it up for y'all in this side of me, this way. Got some stuff in the background, but just dropped a new series called I Dream in Color, which is the kind of 4 pieces behind me, and there's another 4. And I'll have a show at 16th Street Bar next week. I don't know what day yet, so check back on the website because we're finalizing install, but the work will be in there the next 2 months. So if you miss me next week, you can pop in 75 East 16th Street and check out some of my newer pieces. And that's it right now, man. That's everything. Chicago Scholars and art.
Yeah, big ups, and keep it moving. I got there's a brother we sat with by the name of Cosmo. He's an artist in the city of Chicago, and prayerfully you cats can maybe do some work together, or be at an exhibit or something, because he's you guys are straight up each other's alley. I'll just put it to you that way. So, but let's just jump into it. For those who don't know, give us a time frame of when you were born and what city, and then what part of that city.
Yeah, here south side of Chicago, 1980. Parents, mom grew up on 73rd and Blackstone. Dad grew up on right off of 86. Well, really originally 56 and Stewart, Inglewood. But then by the time I came around, my family, we were in Auburn Gresham, right on 86 and Sangamon. And have always had a heart and a passion for Chicago, even though when I was a kind of middle school student, we moved out to the suburbs. So I ended up going to Marian Catholic. My parents sacrificed a ton to make sure that, like, with my sister and I had the best education possible. So went to Marian, learned a lot there, learned a lot about structural racism, systemic racism, all of those things. We can get into that a little bit later, but part of why it's the work that I do is that I love Chicago. And so when I went away to undergrad, I was like, I'm coming back to Chicago. I'm gonna come back and help try to fight for the city, fight to change the city, fight for people, especially kids who can't fight for themselves.
Man, that's big ups. And I was just listening to somebody today. That was Umar. He's still building that school, so ups to Umar Johnson. But he was just saying, I think he said, and I don't agree with everything that everybody says, but he said that, success is not so much about, individual success as much as it is a collective success. And I thought about that when you were talking about, children and things of that nature. And I know a little bit about those South suburbs, bro. Like when I got to high school, we moved out to Cal Park. And so I went to Eisenhower, and I'm familiar with Marian Catholic out further. And I think you guys had a sucky band, but always had a great football team from what I remember. Yeah, from what I remember. And we could beat you in basketball, but no chance in football. So, but now in the Chi, though, before you, got to Marian, so part of what we're doing, Noop, is, we're chronologuing our own story because, quite too often, 100 years from now, 50 years from now, the story of how we came up is going to be told by others and from different perspectives. So at least we can get some stuff up in the cloud, maybe in the blockchain, protect it. And so, conceivably your great grandkids, can look at this like, how magnanimous is that, right? Like, what if you could just, log on to something and see your great granddad, or, talk about how it was. So that's what we do. And that's what this project is all about. So
I love it. It sounds eerily similar to why I paint and some of the pictures that I paint, about, bringing stories that were hidden, sometimes purposely, right? Mistold purposely, but doing it from our perspective and our lens to be able to capture and tell the true story of what's happened and what's happening. So I love it. Brilliant.
Man. So we're going to get into that, but I do want to stay in just the background and some structural questions here. If you could describe briefly what it was like being raised in Chicago, during your early childhood. You might touch on, some lessons you might have been getting from elders or if they were around. How were things in the community as you were coming up?
Man, I loved 86 Place as a block. Everybody knew each other. My grandfather bought the house on a housing contract, right? And I'm sure y'all have talked about redlining and housing contracts, but he was able to keep it, unlike a lot of Black folks at that time. And it was a staple in our family. My grandparents migrated up here together from Georgia. So Molina, Georgia, which is about 75 miles south of Atlanta. My grandmother had 19 brothers and sisters. She was one of 14 that made it to live. And she's one of 3 that left. Only 3 of them left. She came to Chicago with my grandfather, another one in Miami, and another one ended up in Detroit. But when she got here and they got here, it was in the second Great Migration, early 50s. They had 3 boys, older boys, my dad's brothers. And then they ended up having my father much later. My grandfather was actually 50 years older than my father. So, my grandfather came around, had my dad and mom both went to Lindblom. And I think that infrastructure of education and kind of the narrative of family is really kind of core to like who I am. So the block was great, man. You you played all day. You knew the kids on the block, the families knew each other. And when you got out of line and you stepped on Miss Brown's grass, which was like literally 3 houses down, Miss Brown would be in that window, talking about what she about to come do to you. But I think that structure provided a lot of discipline, a lot of values around what it means to be respectful to your elders, what it means to respect your block and your community. The houses on the block were well manicured. I thought that, like that was like the American dream when I was a little kid. I always thought that like that was it. Like, this is what it's supposed to feel like.
Man, well said. And, there is no respect without self-respect. And those were the lessons that, a young man was getting, in our communities when they still had some structure to it. Quite frequently, an elder would be like, respect yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it just, rewired how you were thinking. Wanted to just ask you, who was the first United States president that you could recall? And then also the first mayor of Chicago that you could recall?
Man, great questions. And that's crazy. I've never been asked this on a podcast. The first president I can recall is Ronald Reagan. I remember him getting on talking about the drug crisis and Nancy Reagan,
if they got shoes, we got Ronald Reagan on tape. Well, go ahead, please. I won't cut you off again, but I'll keep it.
Man. This is why we do this. This is part of the fun. And Nancy, right? Don't do drugs. I remember those campaigns. Of course, my first mayor that I remember was the only one that was a consequence to me, even though I think I was probably born when Jane Byrne was probably mayor, was Mayor Harold Washington. And I remember standing on the corner of Vincennes and 86th Street, at the 87th Street, right under the viaduct there, when his funeral procession came past. And I remember looking and seeing my mom just crying. My mom was a young mom. So in 87, she was 27 years old. But I remember looking at her face and feeling sad and crying with her, not knowing why I was crying, that this man who was like iconic in our community and had done so much to try to build equity for our people had left. And my mom explained it to me later. And of course, I've done, the history and research on who he was as an individual and a leader. Those memories are still prevalent. I went to St. Killian, which was right around the corner. It's now Hansberry College Prep. And at the time, I remember, man, just being able to walk the neighborhood, like being able to feel safe and confident that I could go to school and back with my grandfather. We lived in my grandfather's building there on 86th Place, and it was a 2-flat. And my dad and mom, we stayed in a 1-bedroom apartment. What I thought was our bedroom was really like the living room that me and my sister shared with some bunk beds. But my parents were a young couple making it happen, man. And I think, it's funny that you asked who was the first mayor. Harold Washington had a program that he had worked on with the Urban League. And it was actually a program that got young Black men into jobs like early, before we called it tech jobs. It was tech jobs. My dad got a job through the Urban League working at Xerox, fixing copy machines. It was because of a program of Mayor Washington and at the time the Urban League. They really kind of changed the dynamic and paradigm of my family's path and trajectory.
Man, look, big ups to Harold Washington. There was a few quote unquote coons that would say some negative things, and you get a lot of Black folks who could say things about Obama or the current mayor, but you didn't have that with Harold Washington, man. He had that machine going, and rest his soul. And big ups. I mean, from every walk of life, we've sat with the house music community, and a lot of that is like the gay community, and Harold Washington was there for them, and they said things changed, when Harold wasn't there, you know what I mean? So, man, big ups to Harold, man. But you mentioned Ronald Reagan, and I don't know if y'all.
I tell you to watch that thing on television as I did. To see those monkeys from those African countries.
To see those monkeys from those African countries. Damn. It makes you uncomfortable wearing shoes. That was Ronald Reagan talking to Tricky Dick Nixon on the phone as he was being recorded by the White House telephone. And you can do that, right? And then later become president, and then later be known as one of the greatest presidents ever. Only in America.
Only in America.
Only in America. Yeah, man. So I just wanted to get that out there. So that was Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan, they hated him in California as far as the black community. They really disliked him. They had a disdain. I try to tell our younger community that Reagan isn't what they said he was, but, God bless the dead. So, all right, well, we'll move on from there. Okay, how many times can you remember hearing gunfire growing up?
Oof. Man, over there. So here's the interesting part. I actually can't say I remember more than a couple of times over there back in the day. Not then.
So when did you get a sense of that community turning a little more cutthroat and violent? Because I know at some point you went to Marion and then you would probably come back, or when did it change?
Granddad had the house there to 97 till he passed it, and my uncle had it to 2000 and like 8 or 9 until he had a stroke. So it was in the family, man, almost 60 years. But by that point in time, in like, the early 90s, the block had started to change. We had a few break-ins, car break-ins over there. One of the next door neighbor's son actually went to jail for murder. Whoa. One of the kids that I grew up with, one of my best friends as a kid growing up, ended up getting killed. Another kid that I used to play with ended up going to jail for armed robbery. Another one was in a gang, ended up getting shot. So like literally everybody that I hung out with on that block growing up ended up either dead or in jail, which I also say is part of the reason why my parents probably moved me out. The girls did better. And it's always an interesting thing where like the young women on that block actually did pretty good. They went to school, had families, because you kept up with the kids, you kept up with the families on the block. But I remember going back the last couple of times, man, in like 2010 and 11, over there with my dad when we were taking care of my uncle who was there. And we were just like, this can't, we can't sustain this. My uncle had a bad stroke, moved out, and ended up happening is that somebody, folks were using drugs, broke into the basement, and it had oil drum heat, and they lit the drums on fire and they burned the building down. That's how we lost the family building, burned it to the ground.
Wow.
It's a parking lot now where the building once stood. But it's crazy because in 2012, I ended up getting working with Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation with a grant where I was teaching business owners up and down 79th Street and 87th Street how to use the internet to grow their business. So I would go in, help people on the block. The other kind of family home on my mom's side was on 78th and Loomis. My great grandmother had a building there, and I was over there teaching. It was I can't think of the name of the restaurant right there across from the White Castles. It's a soul food restaurant, and that was the day, man, that Dwayne Wade's nephew was actually murdered. They shot up that corner store and killed 6 kids. I was inside the restaurant teaching the folks there how to use Facebook and the internet to grow their business, doing this, grant work, helping the community. And you hear massive, like, it sounded like Beirut, shot up all the cars, shot up the trees in the neighborhood that, I grew up in. I used to walk to that library with my grandmother right there on 79th off of Loomis. That was home. And after that, I realized that it was really different. That it was, there was things and precautions that I needed to take when I was there. I still go if I'm called. I still speak at schools over there. A lot of my kids that I work with now live over there. But when I talk about that kind of paradigm shift of how you remember a place growing up and the feelings that you had, they always talk about in therapy. They talk about your inner child. That was like the violation of that inner child with regard to my familial home, where both parts of my mom's side and dad's side lived in this neighborhood between 79th and 87, from Loomis to Vincennes, and all of that went away about how I see that community with regard to safety and self-preservation.
Yeah, well, now you know how the so-called Native Americans felt. Or some say the $5 Native Americans felt when the Tuba, being the pink man, came here and started desecrating those communities. And it's sad to hear that. And I think that was, from the effects of, when crack started, penetrating the South Side, and then people started, getting outside of themselves in the pursuit of crack and more importantly, crack money.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Now, it was always Chicago, even though it wasn't shooting as much in your area. So, as we wrap up this first segment, and then I'm gonna throw it to Self Love. Whom do you credit for teaching you how to move effectively? And I would even say at Marion, which we'll talk about too, because that's a whole different set of bananas, man. Like, I was thinking about Self when I was in my grade school, bro. I remember every now and then they'd have a rash. I went to Ray in Hyde Park, so we had some, pink and white kids there, and big ups. And every now and then it'd be a big thing about lice. Lice was running through the school. And I remember coming home and telling my mom about it. She's like, you don't have to worry about that. And I'm like, well, they could have told me that in school. They won't tell me nothing. They had me worried about lice, and I came home. I guess it don't really affect black people like white people, but that's some things y'all wouldn't know if y'all didn't really go to school with them. And little different things, man, that you deal with when you go off to Marion. And we've been unpacking that. Like, we as a people, we say, man, move your kids out of there and get them to a better community. Well, they're always going to be dealing with something. Which we'll unpack at a certain point. So back to my question, though, who do you credit, though, for teaching you how to move from the city all the way through Marion, before you got off to the, safety of the land of milk and honey in college?
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough, man, to have a lot of strong men, black men around me. My dad, case in point, first and foremost, my mother too, who was a very strong, brilliant black woman.
Big ups.
But my uncles, man, my dad's three brothers who were 19, 21, and 23 years older than him. So I effectively had like three grandfathers, these wise black men who worked careers, at the CTA. One was a security guard most of his career at Spiegel back in the day, but he was actually the first person in my family before my dad to get a high school diploma. And then my other uncle, who was my godfather, who fixed hot water heaters and engines. Like, he was a mechanic, but very, they were skilled men who had families, lived, on 101st and Halsted, lived on 115th and Elizabeth. Like, they were the infrastructure, the network that I grew up watching. And they taught me how to navigate the world. They were good guys. They had good hearts. They were very smooth brothers, had nice cars, but it wasn't about material, it was about family. And those were the first men that I looked to. Then, later on came my mom's sisters who were younger but got married. Those uncles too. My Uncle Robert Davis, who in Beverly had like the first really nice house. I remember, he had the Jaguar and the Corvette back in the day. And he was a man who was about his business, but he drove a bus and took that into real estate. So he taught me about how to progress and save and the value of money. I've always had men who have been around me, man, to help me. A lot of that still shows up. I was working on a book called, Lessons from My Fathers. And it was literally about all these men. It's like 27 of them in total. When I think about the track of my life that I've gotten specific lessons from, timely lessons on how to navigate the world.
And the best way to lead is from the front. We've talked to many cats who've had male role models in their life. And mainly they say that what they learned from their dad and those cats was how they moved just by the examples of what they were doing, getting up every day, doing whatever. I believe our community, the Black community, is in such a state of disarray now that we need both. Silence is violence at this point. I think it's no longer okay to just be doing what you're doing and being that type of silent role model. Listen, I'll take that over nothing, but we need both. We need all hands on deck. And, that's something we're going to get into. And so hold your question, because I want to ask them this one, and then it's on you for whatever you got. As a silverback, and that's two words, silverback, big homie gorilla, we're spelling gorilla, like a revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
So as a silverback, big homie gorilla, we want our silverback, damn it. What advice? We have a time machine and you're sitting around on your 9th birthday. Just, you can put yourself there because I believe in that type of stuff. And so now, they're telling you, make a wish and blow out the candle, right? You made a wish that you could talk to yourself as you are today. So then you're going to freeze time right before, and then you're going to blow out the candles. So now, boom, your 9-year-old self just summoned you there to that moment. What are you going to tell your 9-year-old self? What bit of information?
Man, that's a good one. I actually was thinking about this yesterday. I went to this session where they asked you to think that you're talking to your 6 to 8-year-old self. So my 9-year-old self, a little bit older, that was probably 3rd grade. And at that point in time, I moved to the suburbs and was really being bullied, man, being picked on. We weren't very wealthy. So I didn't have Nikes. I didn't have Jordans. I didn't have, expensive stuff. I had clean stuff. I had what my parents could afford. My mom had me at 19 years old, 20 years old. And my parents worked very hard to get the little that we had. And at that point in time, man, that did a job a little bit on my confidence of the 9-year-old version of Jeff. Like,
wait a minute, don't talk to us, talk to him.
Oh, so talking to the 9-year-old version of me. So 9-year-old Jeff, despite the fact that these people are trying to label you, trying to tell you what you aren't, let me tell you what you are. You will become a Black male who will help thousands of young people like yourself. You will do that not because you amass massive wealth. You will do that because this 9-year-old version of you has a heart for compassion and service. You have a fight in you that you haven't seen fully amassed yet. You are very smart. You're smarter than most people will even begin to see how smart you are. And you will use that to change everything, change things about yourself, change things about the world around you. You will learn how to use that and build confidence around that to believe in yourself. It'll take a long time, but if I could tell you anything, ask for help. Start asking for help now. You don't have to do it all on your own. And that job that they're trying to do is beating you down on your confidence so that you feel like you always have to prove yourself, like you always have to fight to prove yourself. You don't owe anything to anybody but yourself and God. You come from good people who believe in you. You have people around you who will love you and help you. All you have to do is ask. And so you need to trust them because they'll elevate you much more rapidly than you trying to do this on your own. So you believe in yourself. You trust the people around you to love you. You trust God. And man, you're going to change some things all over this world.
Man, facts. Man, and I'll add in there before we leave, before I throw it to self, to your 9-year-old self, and use all of that. Like you said, don't prove it, but use that as embers in your fire, as Michael Jordan said he did. Just use it all. Yeah, I'll show you. Just use it all for motivation. Meditate, take it in, blow it out, take it in, blow it out, and just get better at your craft. It's on you, good Noop. It's on you, brother.
No doubt. Talk to us and tell us how sports influenced your early life.
Man, sports was everything for me. As a kid, I thought I wanted to be, it was like every sport I could play. I played baseball, tennis, basketball, ran track. It was the other end of what I needed. I think it was that outlet, that energy, that competitive energy, that fight. Y'all, you alluded to it a little bit when you asked me about marrying. And what I didn't realize about the suburbs was like this term microaggressions that you get from white people who just think because they've been there or because they're white and they have privilege that like you are less than. And those microaggressions, man, I felt that weight of the world on me. And the only way I knew how to get that off of me when I was young was through sports. Like I had to hoop. It was the only way I knew. I had to run. It was the only thing I knew. And later I've gotten to painting, but because of sports, all the best relationships I have, man, came from I could say 80% of them. If there's a brother around me, we play ball together. like my closest friends. We picked up a basketball in 3rd grade and never put it down. And I recognize what that meant for me. I actually see President Obama talk about it a lot, like the relationships that came through hooping. Heck, I even got to play with him. And that's how I ended up meeting Alexi Janulius, who ran for Senate and, ended up becoming a friend, and Arnie Duncan and guys who I know distantly now. And the work that I do now in education is still from basketball. Like my staff will ask often, like, how do you know XYZ? And I'm like, well, we played in the Greek League together. How do you know Malik Murray? He was the referee of the Greek League. Like, these are guys that still look out, and those relationships, those ties through sports, that camaraderie that's built. The only thing that I had that was that was with that was the fraternity. That's the brotherhoods on the court and my brotherhood in the fraternity. I tell folks I wasn't born with biological brothers, but I got a bunch of them because of those two things.
Facts. That's what's up. You back?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's what you got, bro. Okay. All right. Well, man, we can move on to the next one. That was a great question, by the way, because I know you balled against Tori and Noop Hoops.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wasn't on the squad then. I think I had already moved to Cali initially for that time. Yeah, let's see here. Else we'd have
Tori
more.
had game, man. Tori had game, boy. People would sleep on Tori, and Tori would come out and light you up. I was a young guy. I joined that league, man. I came home in 2003, right? And I started making phone calls about the league like a year before I even came home from school. I sought out, Knowledge and James Beckham. I was like, they said these brothers run the league. So I'm knocking on the door like a little anxious kid. We had 5 guys the first season, man. We didn't even have a full team. We thought we could enter this league with our 5 little young selves and we're going to compete. I think we lost every game. We might have beat one team. And but it was all about the love, man, and the guys, seeing those brothers and learning from them. Because it wasn't just, and this goes back to sports, it wasn't just what happened on the court. It was like brothers were getting married, brothers were having children, and we were young. We were just getting into that phase of life, but we were able to listen. We were able to learn. One year we went on a golf trip with like Marcus Spencer and a group of brothers who were from Northwestern and who all went down to Orlando. That came from the league. And in that, they were talking to us about investing and stuff that we didn't know anything about. 5 brothers from the South Side who just happened to join this fraternity, this wonderful thing based in achievement, but they were teaching us and, mentoring us. And we didn't even know that was happening, but it wasn't happening in a structured, formal way. It was because we could get out there and golf or hoop and just talk and have space for that. And Black men don't create space to talk about, feelings or even investing. Like, we don't really create space for that. Sports made us. And I think that for me, that's why my nephew is playing AAU ball now. And he called me today, Uncle, will you take me to Louisville with the team next week for a tournament? I cleared my Friday so that I could drive him because I recognize for him, it's building the same thing. That space that young men don't have to be, feel, create, just think.
Yeah, that Noop Hoops, which was started by my AD and Tori Ship, big ups to another brother, Beckham. He spells it differently, but we sat with him and his younger brother, both Beta Noops. 2 things, Self Luv. Tori, he'd we used to play at U of I, and we'd play to 11, and the threes count for 2, and we'd run up and down, and it'd be like score would be like 9-2, and somebody finally be like, "Who's got Tori?" Tori's got seven of the buckets, but he's not doing it prolifically and doing any extra effort or, any wasted movement. He's doing it efficiently, so they don't really know what's going on until 4, 5, 6 buckets later. I've seen it, but to your point about the league, though, great basketball. I mean, basketball is my passion, one of my passions. The Noopy, one of my passions. And so you had that all together. And so it's really hard because to say what did I appreciate more, and I'd have to say it was the camaraderie because there was that decompressing time, and there was that times in the bleachers between games. There was that
after the whole
games.
games
Correct,
was over,
correct.
and everybody outside. It was hard to leave. It was so much information and love being exchanged. It was
and you were in a zen because you had just suspended so much physical activity, you know, that you're in the right mind space to build. And yeah, let's bring that back, JB, if you're out there. So let me jump into this because we could talk about that all night. We're going to go into our more growth and development platform. We got a few questions lined up for you. So what is your take on reparations?
I'm here for reparations. I mean, I alluded to it a little bit earlier. You know, when you look at what, in particular, a city like Chicago, what housing contracts and redlining, what lack of access to the GI Bill did for Black males who were soldiers coming home from World War II. If we are owed, there's a financial impact that happened from that. And even now, like I speak a lot. I'm actually speaking tomorrow at City Club about this. When you look at the achievement gap between Black and Latinx students, but in particular Black students and white students, all stemming from these systemic things that happen, like housing contracts, the inability to buy life insurance, the inability to get the GI Bill, you're talking billions of dollars that were lost and continue to be lost every year. If we would have closed the achievement gap by 2019 pre-pandemic, you're talking about anywhere between $4 and $6.7 billion in annual wealth that is being lost or missed out on by Black people. That and we know what it stems from, but it takes acknowledgement. I actually posted about Juneteenth and reparations on Juneteenth. And a white person who I did not know ended up sending me a message saying that, you know, Juneteenth and reparations are divisive. And I asked him if he thought, you know, reparations for Japanese internment were divisive. He said no. I asked him if he thought reparations for the Holocaust were divisive. He said no. I asked him if he thought Bastille Day was divisive. No. If he thought Cinco de Mayo was divisive. No. And then I had to explain to him in context of what Juneteenth was. See, the challenge is that he had no idea what it was. He had no clue. And the challenge that I'm faced with when I speak to individuals that, you know, are on the other side or call these things divisive or question why we deserve them is that there's never a problem when any other race or demographic is asking for financial gain or means based on the wrongs that were associated to their people and done to them by white people in America. And America almost always writes a check when it's not Black people. But when it's Black folk, then there's a problem. It took us 150 years to get a day of celebration for Juneteenth. And that only came because we had to literally watch a police officer commit murder by kneeling on a man's neck for 9 minutes. It took that, a public lynching, literally a public lynching, for that to happen on camera, which is why I also respect and value what you all are doing with this, documenting and recording, keeping our own record. But I think reparations are more than a fair way to not even say I'm sorry, to make right, to begin to rebalance the scales. They're asking, well, why are these Black kids killing each other? Where's all this crime coming from? Let's go back to the 60s. We don't even have to go back to before that, when you all divested and pulled resources out of Black communities intentionally. And you continue to do that up until the early 90s after you flooded the communities with crack cocaine. So now you have no jobs, the schools are bad, you've broken up families, and you flooded it with a disease, a sickness, because we know now drug addiction is a sickness thanks to the opioid crisis. Again, it affects white people, it's different, it affects Black people, it's a problem. Now we see that. Like, that to me, y'all probably can hear it in my voice. It is very frustrating. It is very frustrating. And yeah, I mean, I think Robert Johnson and Robert Smith and those Black billionaires who are calling for reparations at a minimum of $100,000 a person that is a direct descendant of slaves is definitely necessary. I absolutely believe it is.
Yeah, you know, Bob Johnson's a beta noob. Yo.
Yes, he is.
Well said. You know, we don't have a debate format. As I said, this will go up in the cloud. You know,
Yeah.
but if I would have nothing to debate there. I do have a question for you, though. You mentioned Juneteenth, the Texas holiday. What day is Juneteenth?
So there's some argument here of what day it should be. Because if you really want to say the first day we talked about freed slaves, it would be like July 5th, 1856, not the date that we celebrated. So, and I didn't know that until today. I was watching some kids post on TikTok.
Correct.
Like,
I thought it was January 1st, but go ahead. Okay, so if it's July, exactly. So what? But I'm saying, even if we're going to celebrate Juneteenth, can we, for the love of humanity, call it June 13th or something?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And just celebrate it on that day. I mean, you got me walking around, grown man. I'm wearing a business suit. Happy Juneteenth. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I mean, big ups. You know, I just felt like it was a Texas holiday. All right. Those people in Texas didn't know what was going on. God bless them. That's a Texas holiday that's been rammed into an American thing. And okay, so I celebrate it. Fine. But you are not going to do the overplay with the underlay for my vote. Any with these, I don't want this stuff. I don't want this. And she's the first black woman to ever do this. And he's the first on Juneteenth. I want some reparations. I want it now. When do we want it, Self?
Now. Cut the crap, cut the check.
Right. I mean, so when it happened, I was like, okay, this is performative allyship at its best.
Man.
Like,
Shift the narrative. We're not gonna give you any reparations, because both of them said that while they were running. We're not gonna give you any reparations. No way we are. But we got this great old holiday over here, and we're gonna recognize Tulsa. Fuck, pardon me. Get out of here with that. Because man,
you ain't gonna hear no arguments here other than we need that. That's a nice Christmas card, but where's the gift? Where's the card? Where's the dollars inside? You know, like little kids when you used to get a card and you'd be like, "Ain't no money in here." Like, I don't want this card. Next card.
I mean, we're literally celebrating the date, which we don't even know the date, that we were freed from our enslavement, which was prisoners of war, and we're still at war, in my opinion, allegedly. We're literally celebrating the date, yay, that we were released late. It's like, you know, celebrating abuse almost.
Yeah,
right?
It's ridiculous.
It continues to cause trauma, man.
Yeah,
you know,
it's disingenuous. At best, it's disingenuous, bro. You know, I mean,
it's like getting divorced from your abusive husband. Like,
man,
you still the scars are still here. We got hit for June 19th, 1865 until 2021. And we're supposed to be happy. We're supposed to.
Well, you know what? Now here we could put it this way. Put it this way. Thought experiment. You were in prison, wrongly in prison, and for years, and the DNA evidence came back, cleared you guys right up where there was no shred of a doubt. And then you don't celebrate the day you got out. Right? You were supposed to have got out this date, but your lawyers and everybody didn't know, but you got out 4 years later when you should have got out. And so they're asking us to celebrate that date.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what it is. And celebrate the prison for letting you out. And like you said, where's the...
Man.
Yeah.
That was a great analogy.
Yes. The Christmas card with the card with nothing in it.
Man.
Yeah.
Next card.
Yeah, and then they showed
Y'all
up.
just giving me cards with nothing in it.
And then they showed up to your wedding and ate, $200 worth of stuff and drank $300 worth of alcohol and get you a congratulations card. But big ups. That's it.
Big ups.
And I'm not talking about the ones who couldn't afford it. I'm talking about the ones who could afford it. All right. Big ups. All right. So here we go. All right. So
I'm biting that analogy, by the way. I'm gonna use that. I'll credit you, but down the road, I'm gonna speak and use that that analogy about the wedding. And thank you.
Yeah.
I'll credit you though.
Hey, we got it from you. All right, so here we go. What would you like to see us besides, speak on our reparations and put that as part of our political platform? But reparations aside, right? What would you like to see foundational Black Americans do, the descendants of chattel slavery, any black person in this country, but specifically the foundational blacks who's been here in this struggle. What would you like to see us do to prosper?
I would like to see us practice intentional community reinvestment. That means that every day, every black person in this country should be spending money with black-owned businesses intentionally. I know living in Bronzeville, man, I get up every morning, I ride my bike, I ride past 5 or 6 Starbucks so that I could go to either, Momentum Coffee Shop in the South Loop, black-owned, shout out, or Sip and Savor. And I go to every single day and I spend there. Then I get up for lunch and I go to Emma Shea Cafe, black owned, or the Little Sandwich Shop, black owned, because it's important. And when I look for dinner, I'm eating at places and I'm shopping with my community as much as I possibly can. And I think if we practice that as a nation, Black America, and it would be so powerful. I put up, and I started this about 2 years ago, where I do a list at Christmas of like all of the different black vendors you can order stuff from: clothing, art, fashion stuff, jewelry, just so that like folks that I'm connected with and the followers that follow me know like these are vetted businesses that do good things with good products. And I think, it's just intentionality, man. We go out and we have a bad meal at a white spot. We don't dog it. We don't go on Yelp. We don't go Facebook and start talking all crazy. You go to Black Spot, have a bad meal one time, and we're killing it. Even that kind of intentionality about how we practice grace amongst our people is important. Whether you're hiring black vendors, black janitors, black, plumbers, black whoever, lawyers, CPAs, practice the same kind of grace you give to the white folks when they go bad, and continue to spend your money. And even if they do a bad job, find another one, because there's multiple out here. I love what some of the young brothers are doing, man. I met the brothers that own that black bread company. I'm so proud of what they're doing. Like it's like a simple need. There was no black bread. We're going to produce some black bread, right? And it sounds like mine, but now guess what I'm buying? In my house, this Black Bread Company bread. I'm waiting for the croissants that's coming. It's going to be Black Bread Company when I buy it. I found black syrup. I found black, like I literally went and you had to search a little bit, but it didn't take as much work as we think.
Well,
and that's the other part
respectfully, black bread makes me think of mold. So you might want to go with another marketing. But go ahead.
That's the brand too. It's the Black Bread Co.
I'm with you.
And look, it's a plastic bag with a black
Baby,
label.
you want to
but
pick
the
up some
bread
black
is good.
bread? I ain't getting no black bread. How much is it? How much is it? You know what I mean?
It's less than butternut. But they young guys, man, and they doing their thing. And I think that like that, if we could practice this, I mean, it's the what is it? Dr. Claude Anderson, the
Yes.
Powernomics.
Yes.
Like that mindset and that thought, like, man, our GDP would be like the 20th largest country in the world, man.
What you're saying is the magic, but we're so caught up watching nonsense all day. If you ever fast, right? And you can't watch TV during a fast. Everything, every TV show, everything's about spending your money on white supremacy. Everything. Go eat, go. So I've programmed myself, every dime I spend outside of the community, I'm giving it to the KKK. Now you can sit here and say, Brother Mills, that's unnecessary and it's not true. Well, even if it's 60% chances that it's KKK affiliated or they believe in white supremacy or whatever, because trust me, the higher you go up in these echelons, if you're at Marion and these people grow up and they get jobs and they get high up, they have the same mindset oftentimes. So all I'm saying is I just program myself that every time I'm spending this money, and then they treat you funny, I was here first, but you're sitting the white people for. I don't get mad at them. I get mad at myself because like you said, you got to go out of your way. You could say to yourself, you know what? Let me just go to this black spot, because I've said to myself, if I am going to get, you can't say the R word, but if I am going to get sexually assaulted, it better be by a black person. You understand what I'm saying? And that's how I look at it with my money. So we're real quick to say that black person screwed us. I don't want to get screwed by anyone.
Right.
But if you're going to get screwed, people, if you're going to run the risk, you got to do business in the world. So if you're going to run the risk of getting screwed, and I'll even pay the black tax. What does that mean? If it's a little bit more at this business, I'm willing to pay it because that's a black business.
Group
Now,
economics is of the most importance. And I think it's like our collectively spending is like the fifth economy. It would be the fifth economy in the world, what we spend.
Correct.
As a group of people. And if we rotate the black dollar, the world is our oyster, period. You know, Tulsa, Greenwood rotated it 21 times, 28 times.
We had
something
no
like
choice. That. You know, we had no choice, but it wasn't just Tulsa, man. It was
I know it was all of them, but that's just an example of, 28 times rotated before it left the community. And they talking about these successful other communities are, 9, 10 times, you know what I mean? And we have to intentionally work with each other, period. Like the rest of these other communities do.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yep. Facts.
And Brother Beckham, I went to school with some well-to-do, I'm talking grade school, white kids. That Rockefeller money was all running around there. Of course, they probably would have been at the private schools, but some money in that area. And you were saying about, you didn't have all the shoes and this and that. That's something we do to ourselves. I was having this thought earlier, and it's funny you brought it up. You was like, man, but I always had, shoes. I had what they could buy. You had dinner.
Right.
You had a roof over your head. You had somebody who loved you and gave you information so that you can feed yourself. Hey, let me tell you something. If you've got that, you're 97% ahead of the ball game, bro.
Yeah.
With how a lot of us are coming up, and so that's one thing that I think needs to be valued, and it's something your parents try to tell you, but we go so hard on one another, man. We got to stop going so hard on each other. What's your take on Black Lives Matter, and then I'll throw it to Self Love to in this segment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in full support of the Black Lives Matter movement for what it is before it gets co-opted by others that don't understand it. I absolutely believe that we need to stop the systemic killing of Black people by the police very clearly from when they're not doing anything, and it continues to happen. And I know we're going to get the arguments that we always do about, well, what about Black on Black crime? That is completely different. That is apples and oranges. What we're talking about is a body that is infected with a broken arm, and that's because police have become weaponized, leaders of war. They always have been. They were, slave. We were built to catch slaves back in the day, and they've kept that same kind of mantra and edict in how they approach what should be, making communities safer. And when you start to see it, and as plain as it's been in the last 10 years, Black Lives Matter is a necessary movement for the community. What I think Black Lives Matter needs to do is spend more time with regard to like messaging, because even Black folk don't really understand what Black Lives Matter is. We say it, we wear the shirts, and then you'll get Black people to say, well, Black Lives Matter, what about the kids killing the kids? Again, different things. Like we're talking about structural violence, which is different as opposed to systemic killing of Black people by a police body that is riddled with racism and privilege. But it's hard to understand the two without getting into like all of the narrative and language that's required for context. But I have a few young people that I work with, man, that have been out, leading protests since day one, and I've been out there with them. Again, whether it was for George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or things that I've seen here. We've been in Chicago, man, my whole life, man. I've seen cats beaten. I've seen cats abused by the police. I've been pulled over 19 times and given one ticket in my life. Pulled over 19 times for one ticket. Why? Because I've always driven nice cars. I mean, last time I was pulled, I'm 40 now. It was 38. I'm driving a white Benz, and the guy pulls me over just to literally look in, and he's like, "Oh, you not who I'm looking for." What probable cause was that?
Whoa! You were in those south suburbs. That was the Klan, and I'm gonna throw this out there. I've been driving buckets, and I get pulled over. Listen. We've been through so much abuse. This trauma that we've all suffered is a mind screw, bro. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're driving. When you're driving something raggedy, they say, well, if you're driving something nicer, it's because I didn't know who you were. You're driving something, you need to get a better car. I'm telling you, bro. I'm just telling you what it is. Yeah. We thought you were a gang member, a young guy, you're in this messed up car. And then you're driving something new. Whose car is this? Who's this? Is this? So they don't need a reason other than they've discovered that you were Black.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, it's at this point, man, for me, you know, I had, it wasn't even the police, it was a security guard at Christ Hospital who put me in a chokehold, threw me on the ground in front of my father, and said later that he did it because I looked like the people that gave him trouble. Yeah, that happened to me in 2014, October 23rd.
Was he off duty cop though? Was he?
He was just a security guard.
Oh
wow!
And no knock to security guards, like at all. This isn't about that. But it was.
Was he pink or black?
It was a brother.
Yeah,
they part of the system too.
Yeah, I figured he
because
was.
our conditioning has been conditioned. We're victim of 400 years of oppression, my brother. You know, and even that, and he said at the end of the day, after I went to court for a year and it was thrown out and dismissed, he said, "Yo, I realize you're the kind of brother I need my son to be like, word for word, and that." Yeah, at the time you look like the people in it that typically give me trouble. See, I was coming from hooping. I had on a hoodie, had on some J's, some shorts. I did not look like, you know, the black male, and it didn't matter at that point in time. And so when he, you know, I didn't attack him. I literally walked to sit down, and he thought I was walking to it to hit him.
And you guys might not like this, Self. I remember one of the brothers, one of the pretty boys, used to tell me when I walk around, get me some pepper spray, and you know, I thought it was, man, I might get a. Yeah, you guys walk around with something. I'm not telling you to do it if it's illegal, you know, allegedly. But yeah, man, I would have pepper sprayed the shit out of that dude. You know, now that I'm getting older, you don't want to shoot him in the face, but yeah, I don't care who you thought who you thought I was. You know what I mean? Walking up on me, trying to grab me by my throat. You got to have something on you, bro. You know. But what do you guys think about this? You know, because the Jewish community, they have the Anti-Defamation League entity of B'nai B'rith, right? Why don't we crowdsource some sort of a pro bono? We need some narrative changers. You know, we need all of us, all of our marketing people, all of our internet people. We need some sort of alignment where, because I'm thinking of this when you said Black Lives Matter could be, you know, doing some other things, and you know, they're in their lane. But if we created something that came out and said, no, you know what I mean, we're going to stand behind OJ Simpson because you're violating not all the TV media emotion, you're violating this man's rights, you know, the same way Cal Shittenkraus, what's his name, Cal Ritten, yes, can get support. You know, we need a entity though that can make people feel, you know, the way we feel if we come out on this platform and say, you know, God forbid that we don't agree that the people in Israel are, you know, the true Jews.
They're supposed to be there. Yeah.
Correct. I'm not saying that allegedly.
A group to counteract all of the crap.
Correct.
To really attack it. I hear you. I feel what you're saying. I wanted you to, because we really believe in mentorship, and we're you know, that's part of our tenets. And I want you to expand on the importance of mentorship and talk about some of your mentors as well as who your mentee.
Yeah, man. It's really interesting. I believe in mentorship. I think mentorship is the power to pass down knowledge, right? I think, you know, the old storytellers in our community, but doing it with the way and such that it provides tangible and actionable steps to improve your life. I was fortunate enough, as I mentioned, to have a lot of mentors when I was a kid, but that continued on as an adult. Men who have continued and still pour into me, man. Brothers who have helped me with all the aspects of things that I don't know, whether it was with my business when I ran my own startup for 10 years, or even now as a Black male CEO in the college education space. You know, Shane Evans and Jonathan Swain, another noob, and Alpha. Shane's an Alpha, but those brothers look out for me, man. They mentor me and they help me kind of see what others may not be able to in the work that we do at this level.
Did Shane go to U of I?
Shane did go to U of I.
Yes,
yeah, I think I know that brother.
Together. We grew up.
Yeah. He runs an organization kind of similar to the one I run, and he's been, you know, in my corner, man, kind of helping me again understand the complexities of Chicago and the education system in Chicago, how crazy it is, and then the politics that are part of this as well. Jonathan Swain, runs Link Unlimited Scholars. He's been same thing. Like he's, brother, this is what you can look out for. This is what you may experience. This is how to practice better self-care. Because one of the things with this job is that if you don't slow down or cause yourself to pause sometimes, you will run yourself to burnout. And so like those brothers have been very instrumental in this season for that. On the art side, I got brothers. It's funny. It's a lot of noobs. Dwight White, Joe Metcalf, brothers who are frat brothers who are phenomenal artists in the game and blowing up. Both of them have helped me understand like the process of what I need to do with art, connected me with resources on how to do things on the business side, and just been there, man. And so, I've felt like really so fortunate to have, these individuals around, Black women who have mentored me, Lisa Morris and Dominique Jordan Turner, who was the CEO before I took over at Chicago Scholars, is part of the reason why I'm in this seat. Her advocacy for me and her, trust and giving me opportunities to step in from times when she was out. And I pay it forward. I feel like that's the only way things get better. So I literally have 17 mentees, the oldest of which now just turned 32, and he's married. And so I've gone to mentees' weddings and mentees, having children, mentees graduated from college, down to the 10-year-old that I work with as well and sit with and mentor, who is, a solid kid who loves tech and loves creativity. And so I try to find ways, man, as much as possible to be present, but also be a voice. I think you said it earlier. It's not just like this lead by example. That is important. We have to model behavior and model the way, but we also have to be very vocal, because it's hard to have direct contact or impact with the sheer number of young people that we need to serve and support. And so I use social media. I use my platform that I have, whether it's, writing or anytime I'm in an interview, to share the value and share values that I've learned and amassed along the way, but also like this idea that, there are people here to support you if you want them, if you seek them out. I'm in 100 Black Men. I mentor through that organization. I'm on the board of that organization. I've been actively mentoring, man, since I was 16. Before I even knew what it really was called, I was a youth. They called it a peer mentor, a youth mentor in my church and in my neighborhood, working with little kids when I was 16 years old. I haven't stopped. I did it in college in Missouri, did it when I came back home, running a young adult program out in the South suburbs. And then, and that's not the work I was doing. I wasn't getting paid. I just always felt like that was my place in the world. I'm very blessed to know now that I get paid to do that every day. And I could share why I decided to leave tech to come into this work, but it's because I know that that's really what I'm called to do, man. That's just what I'm called to do for our community.
Yeah, and we're going to jump on to the in the next segment. We're going to get into that, and we're going to get into that segment after a short break. But self-love, I forgot to do the riddle du jour because we got booted. So the riddle of the day. If you guys know it, save the answer. But the riddle of the day is, what has 13 hearts but 0 organs? What has 13 hearts but 0 organs? That's the riddle of the day. And Brother Beckham, we're going to take like a 5.5 minute break. So if you want to stretch your legs, what have you, feel free.
Oh. Yes, sir. We're at halftime. Thank y'all for being here. We're talking with Brother Jeffrey Beckham Jr., our Black Achievement Series. And we are blessed that you are here with us. Thank you for being here. Like, share, subscribe. Check out these interesting videos we got coming for you. And we'll be back shortly.
Facts. Send that link to Shane.
That's a good mouthpiece. Yeah, it's a good one. Shout out to mouthpiece.
He said to me, hey, instead of posting the NBA Finals, like, why don't you do Doris's sideline reporter job for the NBA Finals? Because guess what that would clear the way for? For Maria to do the hosting for it.
Rachel.
History of domestic violence yourself. You've even been to jail for it. Why should fans root for you with this kind of history?
Everything has been allegations. Nothing has been proven, so, that's life.
Well, I mean, the incident you went to jail for, the mother of your 3 children did show some bruising, a concussion when she went to the hospital. It was your own kids who called the police, gave them a detailed description of the abuse. There's been documentation.
Once again, no pictures, just hearsay and allegations.
Rachel, you must done got a makeover, Rachel. You must done got a makeover because you was a little pushy when you came to my house, Rachel.
He said to me, hey, instead of posting the NBA Finals, like, why don't you do Doris's sideline reporter job for the NBA Finals? Because guess what that would clear the way for? For Maria to do the hosting for it. Yeah. So I have declined. I don't know what their next move is, but they are feeling pressure because of all of that.
Oh, I ain't chasing nothing. See, y'all just being nasty. She had my address because I pretty much popped her cherry in the interview game. Y'all didn't know.
And I'm trying to figure out like how to just, my thing is that I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which by the way I myself know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You're not gonna find it with me.
Rachel's birth name is Rachel Alexander. Yeah. She married a nigga.
Once again, not true.
But the website Deadspin recently detailed 7 separate physical assaults on 5 different women that resulted in arrest or citation. I mean, are we really supposed to believe all these women are lying, including the incidents when there were witnesses, like your own kids?
Well, everybody actually, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. When it's all said and done, only God can judge me.
All right, well, we've seen this week with the outcry against the NFL, the public wants the domestic abuse problem in this country addressed. Would you consider donating any of the more than $30 million you're going to make this weekend to an organization that educates and prevents against abuse?
Yeah. And I popped her cherry in the interview game because she came to my house in Virginia. And I did not want to do the interview. I remember that day, Miss Rachel. I remember that day, boo. Yeah, you was all goofy. We had to take like 27 takes because you don't know what you're doing. You didn't know what you was doing back then because they know that in your real life, if they keep you fixated on dumbass stories about celebrities, then you won't be focused on you in real life. You'll be focused on joking and playing and picking on celebrities. When even though you joking and picking and playing on these celebrities, most times the ones that can ignore the bullshit, they living better than you. So that's why I'm trying to tell you, the media is tricking you motherfuckers.
Man, I thank you guys for inviting me on. Thank you. Great format, very solid. It don't have that low budget movie feel. You know what I'm saying? And we get that a lot in the Black community, for real. Like people look at us to be fuck ups. They look at us to be low budget. They look at us to be ignorant, stuttering, and use a whole bunch of and all of that. But no, they got the real deal on here. That everybody know who Torian Mills is, baby. They know.
Hey, well, bro,
They so ignorant, man.
ignorant.
They're so
Hey, but this platform's
Your
your platform. This platform's my platform. From Inglewood, California to
to the
Chicago,
South Shore.
Illinois.
Crazy thing about it.
This platform is
It's
made
for you and me.
It's made
No.
for you.
Do
Crazy.
ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. I was trying to get out the end of the preamble, but go ahead, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'ma show the world what they don't
For
know.
sure.
I'ma be the one.
Uh-huh.
I'ma be the one when I'm done.
Ain't lying, y'all.
Higher. If I made it this far, I'll go higher. If I made it this far, I can make it anywhere. If I made it this far,
Turn it down a little bit.
make it this far, I'll go anywhere.
High like I smoked a pound of that good shit. Any projects is where I'm found on that hood shit. Man, I just dislike.
Welcome back
Don't live like hating cause I
to
came
the
up. And the
Self
nigga
Love
did
Show.
right. No food
Today,
in the house.
we're
You know,
continuing
but that
our
feels
Black
like trying to
Achievement
bust one
series
to work.
with
Now I know you feel trite.
Jeffrey
This life
Beckham
ain't
Jr.
meant for us to be stressed out. Dog, you in the worst
And
way.
the second
Then you
half,
put your
we're gonna
best
get
out
into
and
his
step
career
out
life.
like you got no
Now
care
he makes
in
the
the
bag.
world. Don't be that shit bottle then share with your girl or your
gonna be a
man.
great
Together y'all
conversation.
survive and you plan. By any means necessary, walk in your hand is what you need.
Looking forward to it.
If you gotta sell weed or on the block selling cats, burning
Yes, sir.
CDs, gotta breathe. Cause I
Big
know
ups
the
to
fall
Trice
take
Mac.
me there. And this hustle that's in me, I'ma take it everywhere
I go. Yes, sir. Hey, Brother Beckham. Yeah, we want to, again, thank you for this. We got another.
Distorting. There you go. You're probably good now.
You think it's good now?
No, it ain't.
All right, hold on. Still bad.
Yeah, but I can understand you now. I couldn't understand you before, though.
All right, let me step back. Yeah, Brother Beckham, thank you. Appreciate you doing this. We got this final segment. We're going to touch on, some things you've been doing professionally and in the community, and then anything we haven't covered. We got a quick game we play, and then, we got a couple of esoteric questions. So appreciate you doing this. It's been a gem factory so far. So we really appreciate this. So now we're into the absolutely. Now we're into professional life. Now I believe I've coined this phrase. I don't know if you guys have heard this before. Artivist.
Hey, back off again because you moved all the way back up.
So during preparation for this conversation, how do you see that term as a definition for your approach to your artivist?
Man, I think you gave me a term that I can use in my bio now to really describe what I'm doing. I always say I use art to tell stories, in particular Black stories in our culture. And I think that's it. But it's more than just stories. There's certainly a message and a narrative behind it to move people to something, to action. Which is the whole idea of an activist, right? Moving folks to action.
Facts.
And that's what I use art for. And I think I love that term, the artivist. I love it.
Sweet. All right. Well, man, move forward. Go forward with it and use it. All right. When did you start, drawing, and when did you, realize that this was something that you had a passion for?
Yeah, I drew as a kid. I always had a pen and a sketch pad as a little kid, man. I was drawing, superheroes. My favorite thing to draw actually was the NBA teams logos in the early 90s, late 80s, that old Denver Nuggets logo or the Bucks logo, of course, the Bulls logo. I would sit and sketch all back then it was, 30 teams and sit in the corner with a sketch pad. I stopped drawing, man, like kind of pretty much like after high school, mostly because, you were told as a kid, like art doesn't make money. Artists only make money when they die. Like, that's not a good way to, use your time. Like you good at computers, go do engineering. And I did. When I went away to school, I didn't draw, I didn't sketch. I didn't do it again until 2019, man, when after a conversation with a buddy of mine who passed away from an aneurysm, we were sitting in a bar talking about like life and stress. I had the opportunity potentially to go into politics to, interview to become a state rep for an appointment. And he said very clearly, he said, you got to have things. You're not married, you don't have kids. You got to have things in your life that you can do and practice. Otherwise, that world will tear you up. And he's like, what is it? And I was like, man, I got basketball. And he's like, bro, you too old to hoop. At that point, I had torn like an Achilles. I had torn up my knees. But he said that. And I said, I kind of wanted to get back into art. Like I wanted to get back into sketching. And he was like, bro, paint, draw, do what you want to do. He had an aneurysm the very next day, passed away, 43 years old. And I went and set my living room on the floor. At that point, I think that was like the 7th person close to me that had died in that 1.5 span. Both grandparents on my mom's side, 2 of my dad's brothers, my 2 uncles, Jada Russell, who was a friend. His name was Brian Sleet, and then another cousin in Atlanta. And when I got the sketch pad on the floor, man, I just actually started making marks. I don't even know what I was doing, what I was feeling. I think that was like the process of grief. It painted something. It wasn't good. It was really bad, actually, the first couple things. But I felt like this air of relief, the same way when I used to hoop and I would come home from the gym and I would feel better. I felt that way after painting. And I just kept doing it every day. I was producing stuff. And then, of course, that's December 2019. Quarantine hits January, February, March. And I went into like overdrive. I just was home. I was practicing. I would sit on YouTube. I had nothing else to do. I actually would go get my art supplies. And this is actually something I didn't talk about. Like, you couldn't go into stores. The art stores were closed. So you would either order or they would let you do like the pickup. And I would go, spend $1,000 on canvases and art supplies, bring the stuff home, and would just sit in the house. Man, I started painting and I looked up. A year later, folks were like, yo, where can I buy your work? How can I get that? And one piece in particular, piece I did for Ruby Bridges, kind of re-owning the narrative of the original Norman Rockwell piece. I repainted that. That piece sold 700 prints in 9 countries, 4 continents.
Nice.
Met in New York, bought one. My American flag piece where I have John Carlos and Tommy Smith raising the Black Power fist,
yes,
where
sir.
I made the stars cry because I felt like at that point, that was painted right after George Floyd's death, his murder. And I made the stars cry because I felt like the soul of America was bleeding and crying at the same time. Those pieces they're all over the world now, which is really crazy for me to really think through because, it took me about a year after even started to paint where I would say, yeah, I'm an artist. But now folks, I've had shows in Miami and all over the country. And it's just been a blessing, man, because it's not something that I ever saw for myself. I mean, I think that's a lesson. Like, I'm 40 and I just discovered this. It's never too late. You never know what is inside of you or what can be birthed out of you if you just kind of get out of your own way. I was in my own way for 39 years of, artists don't make money. You can't be an artist. That whole imposter syndrome of me comparing myself to other people who I thought were better at me in the art thing. And so I'm not like them, so I'm not going to try it. And I look up, man, and this stuff, every day I have somebody sends a message about the art and how it inspired them. A little girl, the father sent a picture of his daughter looking at the Ruby Bridges piece, just like smiling with this light. I've donated, 150 of them to Ladies of Virtue so that every young lady in that program gets a Ruby Bridges piece. I'm now working with the 100 to make sure all our young men get a copy of my Emmett Till piece so they, can have pictures of us uplifted, proud, regal, like who we are, kings and queens. And that's important. That's the narrative, the message behind why I started painting and why I won't stop.
Man, well said. You kind of covered that. So let me move forward a little bit. So in the on that news segment that you were on, they indicated that your art studio was located in Bridgeport, and we know that's a traditionally anti-culture part of Chicago, to say the least. So Why that location? And first, and what's the name of it? And why that location? And then how's that going for you being in that area in Bridgeport?
Yeah, it's called a 3262 Media Studio. And I had the opportunity to go there because the Zhu brothers, who own the Zhu Art Center on 35th Street, own my space. I'm actually next door to them. And they saw the work and you were like, yo, we got this other space. We would love to have you there. They own 5 buildings. They right in right across the street. And they're all about putting people of color all up and down that street. So there's a sister across the street who has an event space, Stapled Events. There's another young lady right next door who has a Bad Owl Coffee Roasters. And it's, it's funny because they're practicing what I hope we practice sooner than later. They're like, we're going to buy the block. Because if we own the block, no one can tell us who we put here. And so they have been a partner in bringing collectors to my space as well to see, my artwork and getting feedback on it, getting sales, people buying stuff. It's gone really well, but it's been because of the network that I have and the people that have come out to support. My ultimate goal, just to keep it 100, is to move to Bronzeville, to the low end. I want to have a space over here. The challenge is that commercial space over here is really difficult. So we have a housing shortage over here. We have a commercial space shortage over here. This area is hot. Folks want to be here, yet we don't have enough, to keep the supply to keep up with the demand. So I want to, there's shouts out to developers building Phil Beckham. I know, you got Millhouse just bid on something that they're supposed to put over here on 47th. We need it, but I will move over here eventually. I'm just waiting for the right space and the right time. And it's no knock to what's over there. It's just, I would love for my space to be on the block where people could walk by and walk in, where kids that look like me can walk by and walk in. Right now, there are people that walk by and they look in and they see that Colin Kaepernick on the wall and they keep walking like, oh, this ain't really for me. But it has been folk even over there that walk in to show love of all races, which I think has actually been cool to understand where I am. I'm not crazy. I remember Leonard Clark, I ride my bike over there a lot. And I think, man, this is the park that they beat this boy almost to death because he was black. So it's interesting. My mom came when she walked in. She's like, the fact that you're here just again speaks to like you and you don't care. And I'm like, it's bigger than me. And I'm gonna bring people from all over the city, and I sure do. I have folks from Inglewood, 63rd, the South Suburbs, all in my space. And they look. I see them. I just wave. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
all my cameras and everything else that's up in there that I need to. I'm a legal gun owner. Let me let you know what time it is. I believe in my Second Amendment rights. Because again, I also believe in protecting my stuff and myself. But it's protected. But the long-term goal, man, is to move over. And let me also say this. Everything that I say is my own opinion, not that of Chicago scholars, so that I can protect myself from my job.
Well, facts. And I'm gonna say this, if you were over there, and that was just a question I had to ask because I haven't been over in Bridgeport, and what you're doing would have been very difficult, I'd say 35, 40 years ago. Self Love and I, we normally say this once every show, we may refer to, white people are the white people that are, good people. And then we have the pink people, and those are the ones that are filled with the hatred. So that's how we distinguish it. We've had many a silverback come on this show and mention that they've had cats from the Jewish community, and big ups, the company that the last company I worked for was, 2 Jewish gentlemen. So big ups, that's a tricky history. It's a tricky history. So, hey man, but big ups.
Chicago, right, bro? We know what it is in this city. I mean, Dr. King came here and said I never seen a hate like that. And that isn't gone anywhere. That's still here. The way the city was built and designed was to create and continue to create inequities. What is it? American Pharaoh, when they asked Daley, like, why'd you build the expressways that way? He said, because I need to make sure that the blacks keep their part in the town and they stay, the Mexicans stay where they stay, and we have ours. Yeah. The history and fabric of racism is part of the underbelly of Chicago, man. And until we can shred that, you know, we're feeling it every day. And so yeah, I know what Bridgeport is. But again,
let's not forget the corruption. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
Let's not, forget the corruption and the gang activity.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, I think they said the Stones escorted Dr. King through when he was marching here. But go ahead, bro. I just wanted to throw that out there for context.
No, that's right. I mean, you hitting it on the head, man. I mean, it's our city is an interesting place. You know, it is definitely layered. Like one of my paintings, right? There are multiple layers that are make up the fabric of Chicago. I also think that's why when we talk about solutions, people need to be very aware that there's not one solution to this.
Correct.
There are pathways. There are many roadways to get to solving problems of systemic racism and poverty and these things that are like root cause problems that have been here for hundreds of years. So it's going to take a generation to fix it. You can't fix a generation in a year with one policy. It doesn't work that way.
Well, and you mentioned, and that's true. It's just dimensions to it. I would even say it's textures. Because so much genius has come from that city as well, and even revolutionary spirit and just the power and the just so much from Chicago. I mean, big ups. But you mentioned Chicago Scholars, in which you're currently the CEO. So big ups. Can you explain what you guys do? With Chicago Scholars?
Yeah, so Chicago Scholars is an organization that helps first generation, meaning students who are the first in their families to go to college, more than likely the first in their families to work in the corporate or work anywhere outside of, maybe shift jobs or jobs that have gotten blue collar labor. And these students are high academic performers, meaning that they have really strong grades or really strong test scores, and they have had demonstrated leadership. People often ask, how does a young person know, or how do you share that a young person is a leader? Well, we help them understand that if they're working a job and taking care of their brother or sister and they still are doing well in school, they've got many qualities that will make them very successful in whatever field they choose down the road. And so we incubate that talent. We help them. We start with them at the end of their junior year of high school. They apply every year. We get about 1,200 students that apply, and we pick 600 to be part of our program because of resources, not because the students aren't qualified, but typically because of finances. And then we stay with those students for 7 years. So I've got a team of counselors who help them pick the right school. And then I have a team of staff members who help them, work through college. And then I have a team dedicated to helping them with career development or kind of postgraduate placement. So what are you doing when you graduate? We have a jobs board. We have an internship program. The organization has been around for 25 years. And all in now, we've worked with over 5,000 students who are doing some amazing things throughout the city of Chicago. A young sister named Nicole Johnson, who ran for alderman, is a Chicago Scholar alum. Sierra Boatwright, who's killing the game with Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives. Crane's 40 under 40, Chicago Scholar alum. I mean, I could keep going through and naming these individuals who are doing some amazing things, who are alumni of our program, and really excited to say that a young Black male, Kappa man, D.V. Williams, who is Chief People Officer at Cars.com, has just become the first voting board member that's an alum of the program. So the idea of like, once you get through this, then you go out, you conquer the world, and you come back and give back to the students or students like you is an important part of the narrative. We say, that we're trying to prepare our world for the scholars while preparing our scholars for the world. And that's really what we do. We mentor, train, and select academically ambitious students to complete college and be the future leaders that can change the city and our country.
Hey, and big ups to that. I wanted to ask you, because it sounds like many of your scholars are returning to the city. So is that, it's a twofold question. Is that something that you all talk about? And then secondly, how do you, because Self Luv and I, we've noticed, like, we push education, and yes, yes, God bless education. We have a whole series on education. That's how important it is to us. It just really feels like it doesn't do us as a collective a hill of beans if everybody is just getting the education and then moving away to certain communities and working all for certain companies and using all of what they've learned outside of our community. So I just wanted you to kind of touch on that without me rambling too much.
No, man, it's a great question. And we get asked that a lot. There's kind of a multifaceted approach to that too. So yes, we talk about the value of service leadership, and civic leadership with regard to our program. And we bring people in like yourselves to talk to our young people about what they've done and why they continue to give back. So that's a huge part of our program. But we don't like to take anybody's agency away from them. So if you go to school and you decide that you want to go off and go to New York, we'll help you get to New York too. We'll help you do that. We'll leverage our network to make sure that you are successful at the thing you want to do. Well, we always promote and say that wherever you are in the world, service and civic engagement and giving back is a core tenet to being a part of our program. And so if you're in New York or Atlanta or wherever you go, you should be giving back. The majority of our students, about 90% of our students, do come back. I think that attachment to being from Chicago, and especially this new generation that are coming up now, these Gen Zs, they're a little different, man. They want to come do the work. A lot of these kids are like, I'm going to school for civil rights law. I'm going to school. I've seen so much of that with these seniors in high school right now, these young college students. They're starting nonprofits. They're raising money. They're understanding that they don't have to, go play on the same hamster wheels that we had to or were taught to when we left school, that they can go build it themselves. And so while that's not the kind of core thing that we do, we have relationships with the organizations that do. And so since we do, we send kids to the Urban League, to BDC, where they can get structured programming and training on how to grow their organizations or things that they're working to build. I also have an idea that I'm working on that I can't quite release yet, but it goes to lending and using some of our relationships to raising funds to support those students, right? Because I feel like we have a role in that. We may not be able to incubate what you're doing in terms of the actual product, but we know people that can. And so how do we leverage those relationships to get students in the right lane so that they can achieve what they want for themselves? But you're right. I mean, I even think about the kids who are really talented and bright that college may not be the lane for them. We talked about those pathways earlier and that even those have dimensions to them. I recognize that we're one circle on the L stop, but there's multiple, and there's other programs that are doing amazingly dynamic work with students who may not want to go to school, or students who want to start a business, or students who want to go into healthcare, or students who want to go into finance. And they're literally a program kind of in Chicago. And Chicago is very fortunate to have these kinds of programs, because in other parts of the country, man, like Detroit doesn't. St. Louis doesn't. And so I recognize that too as an opportunity for Chicago scholars to be able to provide some of what we do as we continue to think about growth and scaling to other areas of the world through partnership with organizations who need our support, need what we're able to provide. Our students graduate on average at 83% over 6 years. When you compare that to comparable students from the lowest economic quartile in the country, same students, same grades, 9%. So you're talking about a 900% increase in terms of college graduation rate with our program. Now, Chicago's a little bit better. The graduation rate in Chicago's for high school students of equal standard is about 49%. We're actually not doing that, and that's outpacing the national average. But when you talk about apples to apples, Chicago scholars is really changing the game for young people.
So what's your secret sauce? I mean, without giving it all away, I mean, is it your people that work for, Chicago scholars? Would you say that's it? Or
it's the staff, man. It's not just the staff. It's the volunteers. We have 250 adult volunteers who mentor. They stay with the kids that first year, senior year of high school and first year of college. We have 50 paid counselors. On average, students from CPS may get an hour to 3 hours of college counseling. At Chicago scholars, are guaranteed 14 to 15 hours of college counseling. So that whole idea of picking the right school to reduce your debt when you go to school, I picked Mizzou because it was nice in March. Complete transparency. It was nice in March. I went to visit a cousin who was there, I saw some little girls that I thought were cute, and I was like, this is where I'm going. Didn't
Good
know I
enough.
got into Marquette, got into Princeton, got into U of I. I got the President's Award from U of I. Marquette didn't give me any money. Princeton gave me a little money. Mizzou gave me a full ride. So now it's sunny and nice. Some girls are walking around campus, and I got a full ride. Guess where I went? But without knowledge and having folks around me to really kind of help navigate that, man, that could pose a challenge. And so that's what we do. When you pick the right school and you find your people and you have a network of support, the outcomes to graduation increase exponentially, especially for first generation and low income students. And so, yeah, I think, that is our secret sauce. We actually doing some stuff now to make sure that we solidify that, especially for young males of color. So I announced recently that, we're really focusing intensely on building a pipeline of young men of color in our program, from middle school to our program, through and into jobs, so that when companies call me and they say, we're looking for we don't know where to find the Black and brown kids, I'm gonna tell you, I got 6,000 of them sitting right here ready to go.
Exactly what we need. It's exactly what we need. I want to back up a little bit, but we're still staying, right here in the present. So you were talking about, when you all moved and certain types of differences in that community. Obviously you were moving amongst people who had more stuff than you, and maybe you were around more, white people. So what type of experiences, was that, if you can kind of summarize that? And then how do you think that, because you were talking to your 9-year-old self, what do you think, how do you think that helps you today, dealing with what you have to deal with as a CEO and, in a corporate situation?
Yeah, I'm grateful for going to Marian Catholic and learning how to navigate, learning how to code switch, right? We talk about code switching. I don't even think it's code switching anymore for me. I walk in the rooms pretty much the same way. I try to, at least now. I laugh because you guys in the promo, you showed the video from like Shy Hack Night, and that was like the end of this idea of like this tech thing. I was going through this transition to really understanding like Blackness at another level. That was pre-George Floyd. That was pretty much pre me saying, y'all go get the full authentic versions of myself all the time now. Like, I'm not going to hide elements of myself like I used to do, thinking that I needed to do this to make folks feel comfortable. You're comfortable anyway when I walk in the room. So if that's the case, why not be my whole Black brilliant self so you get it all? And that's funny because I even when I watched that video, I could tell what I was doing then, trying to build and bring people along. And no, man, because those that want to be comfortable and see me for who I am and my value will, and those that don't won't. So what? And that, I think that conversation and learning how to be myself, learning to say that it's okay for me as a Black male to like art and to like hip hop, but also to say I watched hockey growing up, right? I could tell you about Luc Robitaille and Wayne Gretzky and the Russian line for the Detroit Red Wings. Like, that's okay too. Like, it's completely fine to be who I am. And I think the learning that I got going to Marian, going to Mizzou, working in healthcare and finance and all these different industries has really kind of rounded out my idea of identity and what racial justice, diversity, equity, inclusion, all of that means, like what it truly means. It means being able to be your whole self and not have to feel weighted or weathered or, bad about it. I mean, we go through that. Mahershala Ali talked about offense versus defense. Like, most Black people go in the world feeling like not even knowing they're on defense, but the traumas that we've experienced keep us on defense. It's like we always got to like Floyd Mayweather, we always doing this. We always shoulder rolling. And he talked about like white men go through life, they just swinging away.
Yeah.
And they may take a hit. They may fall, but they can get back up. They got family trust funds. They got these things where they fall and it's good, right? The world is built for them with a safety net. For us, there's often no safety net. Where I am at this point in my life is that I'm a swing. I'm gonna throw as much as I can for as long as I can until I get tired. Then I'm gonna play rope-a-dope a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back swinging again with ideas, concepts, this energy around. Because I got 4,000 plus students that I have to do it for, and they got my back. So I actually do have somebody in my corner. I got 4,000 of them and a team of others. And I think that learning that through the experiences I had at Marion and those other places dealing with white people has made me positioned and ready and brave, because there's a courageous component of what I have to do when I'm walking in some of these rooms having the conversations I'm having. I have no problem telling companies that they're not practicing what they say they preach on their website. Your values say this, yet every person on your staff photo list were white. How where's the diversity? But I can help you with that. If you want my help, I can help you. That's how I walk in all the time, man.
But if
and
they got white,
and there's a price tag attached to that too, because this don't come for free. This doesn't come for free.
If they have white women, that's diversity. No.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, even that now, we're debunking that. That's diversity. Is it equitable?
Thank you.
Equity. Yeah, it's diversity.
No.
So we're gonna practice equity, right? Because you got it, because everybody talks equity now. That's the new thing. It's equity.
Correct.
We want to do something. We saw the George Floyd video, and we feel like we need to do something. What do we need to do?
And if you're giving all the kids participation trophies, let's get some equity, right? Let's get some equity. I want to ask, just what's more important to you, whether you're running your team at work or, a sports team? What do you think is more important based upon your wisdom at this point in your experience to a team? Is it the individual's integrity? Meaning, personal, wherewithal, personal pride, work ethic, etc. So is that most important to you in team building, or the ability of an individual to, I guess, buy into the group or the team concept, be more of a team player?
I think I'm gonna definitely go with the first set, man. I think it's your work ethic, your integrity. Those to me are like core tenets of leadership. So it's like, would I rather have the great role players, or would I rather have Chris Paul? Give me Chris Paul. Because I think leadership's part of the challenges we see in our city, in our government, in our schools, is that we have bad leaders at the helm leading things. People who do it because they're not doing it for the mission. They're doing it because they want the attention or the money or the power that comes from it. And when you have good leaders in place, you see things change. There are good leaders in the city of Chicago that I've gotten to watch literally change organizations, create pathways to equity for young people or women or homeless folk, like literally doing the work all the time, opening doors of opportunity. But it's about their work ethic, their integrity, their ability to navigate this VUCA, volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, what's it? Volatile, VUCA, volatile, uncertain. I can't remember the C right now, and ambiguous, but it requires some core tenets of what you talked about, like being transparent, being humble, pushing through and being resilient, being able to provide, confidence and calm for your staff in this world that changes all the time. The VUCA is a military term that they use to talk about the current state of the world, how like things change so rapidly now. And leaders today have to be able to, do a lot of what you mentioned to lead in this world. So, great leaders also make the team better. So while they may not be the role player, they model the behavior, they show up, they do the practice work early. They're talking about MJ and Save the Last Dance, how like he pushed his team to be the best version of themselves. Without him there, they don't win, right? Not because of just what he did on the court, but what he modeled off the court as well. And I'm gonna take those individuals all the time, even if it comes with some complexity and personality, or it might be hard sometimes. Those are just the folks that I vibe with. Let's figure out how to do this, and we can win. Let's get this win.
So you're more 5 Jordans as opposed to 5 Scottie Pippens.
Yeah, I mean, you need Scotties too, right? It's a necessary to have a Scottie and a Steve Kerr and everybody. There's role players, and I build teams based on roles, right? Like, I think that my team is really, I'm a vision guy, so I'm the person that certainly can go out, cast vision, share big ideas, but I have people around me that put it on paper.
Yeah.
They can put it on paper for me, and they make this is the project plan. This is the timeline. These are the people that'll get it done. And I have to have those people around me because I can do that, but it's a stretch for me in my skill set. So, you know, I'll go out, I give me the ball, I'm gonna hit the big shot, I'm gonna close the game out, I got your back. But when to get there, it's everybody that's part of that. So everybody has a role, right? I think like my preference is naturally to lean towards people who are more like me, but everybody has a role, and I recognize the value that they have on the team too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was it was one of those questions. I wanted to hear your response to it, especially, you know, being from a leadership position. So, what? Well, let me ask you. In 2009, I guess you started your own firm. Was that a tech firm?
Yeah, we did. I started a company that did web development, mobile application design for people all over the city, all over the country. So we built websites for Tuskegee University, Floyd Mayweather. I built his Money Team Events website for
Big
Mary
ups, yeah.
Mary, for Trinity United Church of Christ. We actually did the full rebranding for them after President Obama stuff, and when Jeremiah Wright left, and they were really kind of getting hit hard nationally with people not understanding, you know, their theology and what they believe. And so we did like the rebranding, new website for them, website for the Black Women Lawyers Association, the Cook County Bar Association. Like there was a point in time where if there was a historic organization in Chicago, we had done some work for them, the Urban League, the NAACP. Like, I mean, it was pretty crazy. And it was a great ride, man, to be able to grow that organization from something that I started with one other person to us having like 7 young developers who were all Black people. They were building these cool applications and sites. You know, I tell folk all the time, with a little bit more capital, I could have grown the scale to compete with some of the bigger web firms. I was competing with them then, but we would lose bids because we didn't have enough capacity to scale. And it's hard raising capital in that space that's not private investment, because banks say you don't have any collateral. We had 10 computers and 10 monitors, but like without any like firm product, there's like nothing that they can hang their hat on. So I ran it from 2009 when I started it to 2018. Ended up selling part of it. The company's still around, but I don't do much with it. There's a couple young ladies who I work with that they build stuff now, and if they need my help, I'll provide insight and advice. But it was definitely something that I learned a lot in terms of the industry. I learned about the tech industry, which, if you want to talk about like closeted microaggressions and racism, the tech industry is ridiculous. Like they don't have to hide that they could be racist. They're just like, we don't know any Black people who can do this. So we're just gonna hire everybody else.
Yes.
And it's really bad. And you can look at the diversity numbers of the largest tech firms in the world, and it'll confirm what I'm saying, where less than 1% of people working at like Facebook, Google are Black. So
no doubt.
Yes. Because when they go off to, which this is not you talking or your company, this is me, we want to defund the Ivy Leagues, you know what I mean? They go off to these places and think tanks, and there's none of us around, and sit around and just think that we can't do anything, and if you look at some of the most awful people to this country and to this world, but that's a whole nother show. We'll talk about another show. Defund the Ivy Leagues, in my opinion, because of that. The smug is just awful. It's polluting the world. But yes, very, 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 and also banking, bro. A lot of the bankers are outwardly racist as well when you go up in the upper echelons of that. And small ups to them, because we vibrate love. So I want to ask you this. Yes, right. All the time, for everyone, they get love from us. How do you think that... well, you know what? Let's just jump into these. We're going to hit you with some true or false questions. The parent/guardian are the most important players in the education of a child.
True.
True or false? Art is more essential to humanity than mathematics.
False.
See, I'm asking an engineer and an artist, bro. See, that should tell you something. That should tell himself's an engineer. That should tell you something right there. All right. That's
You want to know why I say that? Because
please.
art is science. And so, see, I'm getting whether it's music, which I used to produce back in the day, right? And so BPM is all math. It's all math. The cadence of music.
So you're saying that math is science, essentially.
Math is
okay.
Yeah. Math is the foundation of science, in my opinion, right?
All right.
But even art, right? Like, when I paint, whether it's symmetry or being able to layer textures and understanding, I mean, all of that to me, I see it in how I see, like I used to code. I see the layered and structures of like code. So it could be my approach to it, which may not be everybody's approach. Some people are tied directly to feeling, and I think maybe it's your approach to the thing that's the key.
What if I said that a number or a circle or a triangle is a form of art? But Self, I want to hear you, because this is kind of do you understand what I'm saying? Like, know?
Yeah.
Math is a universal thing.
Constant.
Yes, it doesn't change. Now, when they go into all this theoretical mess, then that's something else. But the mathematics does not change, and it is a language of itself. But, and I know I use but, art is communication, and it is also, it includes a lot of mathematics, like you said, but mathematics.
Right, well, Self, you're flapping here, Self Love.
It's not the base of it.
Oh no,
that's what I'm saying. Math is not the base of the art.
You're an engineer and an artist. So I'll ask you, true or false? Art is more essential to humanity than mathematics.
This is a whole topic. This is a whole show.
It is a whole show. He's right. And yes, I'm going to say yes.
You're going to say true?
Yes.
That art is more essential than math, or math? So true or false? Art is more essential to humanity than mathematics. True or false?
Well, I can't qualify it, so I had to say false, because I can't qualify it.
I got you.
It's true or false.
All right, Brother Beckham. True or false, Snoop? And he ignorant. He said I had those little boys, and he said they wanted to see my penis in court. Tito. All right, but here it is. An ignorant voter. An ignorant voter. Hear me out. An ignorant voter is worse than a well-informed non-voter.
True. Yeah.
I'm going to say true, and let me say why, and then you tell me why.
That's hard, but true.
The reason I said true is because I feel like an ignorant voter would include those who are being paid, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But go ahead, bro. I mean, what made you say true?
That was hard because I got well-informed friends who are non-voters, close friends, and so we had this whole argument about like.
That's a show in itself too.
The vote you don't cast versus the vote you cast is a vote. Basically, you're voting for the ops, bro. But then my boy was like, they all are ops. So I'm like, okay, look, we're gonna do this another day. I feel you. I feel his premise. But I really thought about the last election and the 60 million Trump voters, of which I know 2/3 of them have no idea what they're voting on other than race, and that in the core is ignorant. Where like we know some of the policies being created even by Joe Biden help them more than they help the people that elected him. Especially when I start thinking about some of his foreign policy, rural policy, things like that. That like the things that he's done for them, and yet they will still vote ignorantly for the other side based on this idea of America, we're gonna raise the flag.
Well, he lost and they want to bring them back. I mean, this is unheard of. Right? So, man, imagine that. Imagine if Obama lost and then we said, yeah, I guess we'd have done that. If Obama won and had those 4 years and then lost, yeah, let's run Obama again. Now, let me ask you, if Trump wins and gets another 4 years, is that a term limit? Or does it have to be 8 consecutive years?
No.
I think it is. I think after FDR they changed that because it was one president that won and lost and then won the next thing. I can't think of his name.
And then was
right
trying
now.
to get 8 more years out of that, and they told him you got to get out of here. It's
No, that was before FDR, so he didn't win again because he would have been in. You know, after FDR, something happened where they was like, nah.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, FDR would have had a third term, right? He was going to be the first 3 term. He died in his third term.
Yeah.
And then they created the term limit thing. But I do think it's 2 terms total. It used to be 2 in succession, and then somebody tried to do that, and they were like, "Nah, it's 2 total." I don't know what's gonna happen, man. You know that my brain hurts that we got 2 octogenarians who are gonna try to be president at 80 something. Like,
that's unheard of. You know what I mean?
no knock to octogenarians, but like when I'm
you're
76 or 78 years old, I'm trying to like chill out, man. I'm trying to have a glass of scotch and a cigar and enjoy whatever the weather, man. Let me sit. Like, I just want to.
It's no way I can be in Congress for 10 hours listening to somebody filibuster and I'm flatulent. You know what I mean? And God bless, like you said, to the flatulence. It happens to all of us. That's the beauty of aging. But you're flatulent at 83. I mean, come on.
That's all they have to do is call filibuster. They don't even have to say nothing no more, bro.
No, man.
So, you know, you can be flatulent all you want. You can leave up out of there because, you know, they just call filibuster. They don't even make them, you know, waste the time.
This is true. This is true. All right. Well, let me ask you this. We're wrapping up the segment. Excluding Jeffrey Beckham Jr., whom do you attribute? We're talking your professional achievements. Whom do you attribute that to most?
My parents. And I say that because actually, if I go to the root, it's definitely them, because even when they didn't know something or how to do something, they would search to find folks who did for my sister and I. So that I learned how to code before my dad ended up getting the computers later himself, but he helped find that for me. When I wanted to learn how to do graphic design, they did. When I, you know, in every turn, they made sure that my sister and I were protected and that they invested in our future. And it wasn't always like, you know, the book education. It was the ability for her and I to go sit with my great grandmother and, you know, sit in the house and learn from her, who was a woman who was one of the first Black female bookkeepers at Montgomery Wards and taught us how to read when I was 3. My parents, man, they're amazing people who are humble and selfless. They both serve. My mom didn't go to college, neither did my dad, but my mom went back later and has gotten, you know, 2 master's degrees and a master's in divinity and from Northwestern. And so they have modeled a lot of wonderful things and positive things for my sister and I. So I got to give it to them. And then second to that would be my grandparents, my elders. They were hardworking, strong people. And they taught us the value, I think you said it earlier, of integrity and just, you know, belief in self, but integrity, hard work, and the value of family. So yeah, without them, man, all of this other stuff, it wouldn't have happened. None of this happens without them.
Man, big ups, big ups, big ups. Well said. Okay, so here's a easier one. We save the easier questions for towards the end. Give it to us. The meaning of life.
The meaning of life. I think the meaning of life is doing something for others. Is service. Is giving. For me, it is, at least. It is that fills me up, but it also, I know that it's got long, you know, reaching tentacles, man. I always use the analogy of throwing rocks in the water, creating ripples, where you never know where the ripples may end, but like those ripples are great to see. When you're on the water, you stand there, you just throwing rocks in like a moonlit thing. Like that's life. That's it. But you got to keep throwing rocks. Rocks are good. Rocks are hope. Rocks are positive things. And if you do that long enough, man, like you do that long enough, those ripples are going to reverberate across the world. And it's that simple. It's the faith and belief that if I keep throwing these rocks are good, they're going to return somewhere on the other end of this thing, you know, and have a positive impact on somebody or something. And so that for me is what I see as the meaning of life is giving of your gifts, your time, your talent, to keep throwing those rocks.
Okay. Yeah, bro, man. Well said. I you know, I was having a meditation and I said to myself one time, you know, if there is this creator, as we call God or what have you, which I definitely believe in, have faith in, it's like if you all have children, I know Self Love does, you know, it would please a parent nothing more than to have the children love one another, you know, love themselves, and then love their brother or sister as much, and if not more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that would please the parent more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, because I also heard a parent say that um, you're only as happy as your most unhappy child or something to that effect. You know what I mean? If you have a child that's going through something, the parent's not as happy as the parent would be if both kids were, you know what I mean? And so I'm not a parent, so that's a whole nother thing, but we're gonna move into that's something for y'all to think about. I'm gonna move into the next one, and then that's it. And then we can, you know, wrap this up pretty much. So here's a thought experiment we do, bro. So if you think about, you know, an individual, a spirit, a living human outside of yourself, you know, that, I mean, I know we're all measured and balanced and we have faith or what have you, but, you know, you couldn't bear to see this person, you know, leave this world right now, right? And this person was in need of a heart transplant. And through your, you know, connections and you know, all the work you put into this world, all that good positivity you've put it out, you know, you've worked in the computer field, and so you can go on the dark web and find a black market, so to speak, where they produce organs. And of course these organs weren't donated, you know, they were, you know, poor kids and poor people who just got caught up and, you know, lost their organ. So my question to you is, in this thought experiment, would you provide the organ for your loved one?
That's an easy yes. Because I thought the first person I thought of was my nephew, who's 15, and the only kid in the family. That's my world, man. So yeah, that's an easy yes. You know, if it meant checking me out or getting it from the black market or whatever I needed to do, it may not be fair. But for him, I'm gonna ride this thing till the wheels fall off. It is a for him, he got it. He got it. Hey, I'm sorry. You know, that's why I'm here, right? You know, there's certain things that we protect. Our kids are one of them, and that's the one.
Hey, that's a question I came up with, that thought experiment, and I've been asking people.
Ooh, that's a question. That's a deep question.
Yeah,
and 50%, it's even panning out like this on the show, Self.
It is.
Me and Self have different answers to this question.
Yeah.
And 50% of the people, you can ask male, female, old, rich, poor, you know, but usually when they answer, they come right out with it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, don't they? Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Or, yeah, I'd do it. Yeah.
Yep. Be like, yep.
Now,
no. I was like, yeah.
The reason I'm a no, Self's yes was along your lines. The reason I'm a no, you know, is I feel like, you know, the universe is balanced and there's always a genie in the bottle. And I just, and this is a pessimistic, 9 mils, I do this for this person, and then, oh, honey, let's drive home. You get ran over by a big semi truck, and now we're both dead and we're hearts donated. So my point is that's just how I feel about the power of this universe. Going back to what you just said about the point of life is to be a little proton and push forward positivity. And now you got yourself in a situation, and now you're not pushing forth positivity. This is not a debate
you're right,
show.
man. You just convicted me, man. Now I gotta be like, now you know what too? It's funny because it's always like the movies where you see it like until you're in that situation, you got to press go on that.
Right. That's what
what they would do. But you got to press go on that. You're not doing that.
That's how I wrap
you go
up.
Try to figure out everything else. You go be like, we're gonna do everything else. Is there another way? I'm not doing it.
But
I'm not cutting anybody's heart out in a tub, man.
But just how you said you wouldn't do it, at the end of my diatribe, I always come back to, well, man, if I'm in that position, I never know what I might do. So that's the thing about that question. You just don't know. God forbid, knock on wood, unless you're there. That's the thing about that question, man. And it's an unfair question.
Be like John Q in the hospital. Like, we need a heart. I'm going to hold up the whole place. They found the heart, though. It didn't end well.
It's a tough question.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a tough question. But you know what would happen is it'll just be a heart meal all over the world. And these days are coming if it ain't already happening.
And I was laughing because he said, okay, well, we're about to go to the easy questions. What's the meaning of life?
Yeah.
And then came with this.
Well, yeah, you have to do that because now he's just a stream of consciousness and he's answering. But this is the wrap up.
Great.
Any myths about you or what you do or what you've done that you feel the need to speak on or clear up?
I think one of them is that I'm always super serious. I'm not. I laugh a lot, man. I have a lot of fun. I crack a lot of jokes, but people have this idea, especially folks that just know me from like the social sphere, Tori, they'll laugh when they're like, wait, you play ball? You're competitive? Or the other one is that like, they don't know, especially when I was younger, that I have like this other spark plug fire in me, especially on the court that I used to have, that folks don't believe. They're like, you're so chill. I'm like, nah, don't get it twisted. And those are both ones that I love, love laughing at when folks see it. And I think art has helped that a lot because folks are like, we didn't know you were a creative. We thought you were the tech guy. The whole time I always was a creative. I rapped in high school. I sung in college. I produced after school. Like I always had these artistic forms of expression that I did. I just didn't share them with the world. I just kept stuff to myself. This is the first one I really share it more of to kind of show that other side of my personality. So I think that's a good. These are good questions, man. You've been working on this, Nine. These right here, whoo, these are good.
Hey, well, we almost got you through, bro. We appreciate you standing through it because all of this information, these are the questions we ask pretty much everyone. So some of them are tailored towards you specifically and what you do and what you're about, but most of them are structures. And so we're getting all this analytical data, from just different Black men from different parts of mainly Chicago, but we've had different ones sit down with us. So any family quotes, scriptures, words of wisdom that you hang your hat on, right? You mentioned that your parents, because my mom used to do that too, go sit with your grandmother, you be getting those jewels and they just giving you all that information and telling you stories. I had the pleasure of living with my great grandmother, rest her soul, for some time. So getting that knowledge, and just dropping wisdom on you. And if you're smart enough to just listen, So any quotes, scriptures, words of wisdom that you hang your hat on that you'd like to share with the Self Love Nation? Maybe it's from your family. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's from one of your uncles. Don't take no wooden nickels. You know what I mean? They tell you something like that. Anything like that, bro.
Oh man, so the funny ones are like, don't split the pole. If you do split the pole, throw salt over your shoulders. I'm like, I don't, those old, the Southern ones, but the ones of much value was, and it's very similar to you. I had my great grandmother up until 2015. She was 95. So, and that's the woman who taught me so much, like to whom much is given, much is required. My mom always still says, keep God first at the head of your life. Everything else will work out. My dad always would tell me, yeah, son, how it looks today isn't how it's going to be tomorrow. Especially in times of challenge. Don't hold on to anger is another one my dad always says. Like, as a man, don't hold on to anger. It'll eat at you. We've had the conversation with this old African proverb when my dad and granddad would say, like, there was a bird trying to put out a fire in a forest, and the bird kept going to get water, and everybody around was laughing at the bird, and the bird was just trying to do what it could. And they asked the bird, well, what do you think, you're going to do carrying water in your little beak to put the fire out? And the bird said, as much as I can for as long as I can. That's another one that still sticks with me. That, like, we think that it's one, the impact we're having on one kid, one thing, thing isn't going to have a ripple effect. But what if you are mentoring the next Malcolm X or the next Martin Luther King or the Black Bill Gates or the Black, well, not Bill Gates, but we'll go there next time. But, like, I mean,
yeah.
That's the kid that you're working with right now, right? You're imparting wisdom in, and that young student grows up to change the globe, right? So you don't know. And I think that concept for me is one, it's part of why I do the work that I do. Another one, more recent ones, is that, the quarantine stopped the world, but it didn't stop you. You kept going. You have to keep going. You need to keep going. Yes, slow down, process, but get up and keep going when it's your season too. And I think, like, those lessons, man, have all been really valuable for me over my life. I think Connie Lindsay said one where she says, no is a complete sentence. Like, that was powerful for me. This idea of FOMO and always needing to be somewhere or getting somewhere, doing the next thing. And it's like, no, sometimes no is enough. You ain't got to give everybody a reason. No is a complete sentence.
I preach that. Preach that. Go ahead. Go ahead, though. Oh, don't ourselves.
Yeah.
That's facts.
Yeah, I'll end on that one. That's the one. Those are yeah.
Because when you start justifying your no, then now it's a debate.
That's right.
You'd be like, no, because you'll say, no, because I got to work all day and no. If you just say no, but you give a reason. Oh, but what time you get off work? What if I come pick you up? Hey, listen, you know what I mean? Right. You say, no, I got to work and I'm actually riding the bus home and I'm going to be tired. Well, what if I came and just be,
no.
All right. Well said. Recommend a book.
Do it.
Book recommendation. I got two. One of the favorites is The Four Agreements. Love that book. It's a short read. It's really quick. Just super powerful, man. And a second one that I really love is Leading with Gratitude. It's a newer book, but it just talks about how to lead and how we often mistake, like adding gratitude language in how we lead. There's another one called brother's name, something Herrera, but The Gift of Struggle was really good too. Like how struggle makes us really powerful. Like those people who came from some struggle and poverty, like you got to watch out for them. Because when they get it and they make it, they know how to make it through anything. There's nothing that can really slow them down to stop them. So,
that's God's grace. The more you spray a roach, that next generation is going to come back stronger. I mean, so the more you step on a man and hold him down, the stronger his get back up muscles become.
Yeah.
Recommend a Black-owned restaurant. It can be anywhere on this great planet.
Anywhere on this great planet, man, there's so many good ones across the planet, like all over. But I'm a rock. Okay, I gotta go. Honey's in Florida, the Overton, a Red Rooster Overton in Florida, in Miami. Shout out to Marcus Samuelson, who has the Red Rooster in Harlem, but that one in Miami is just different. Locally here in Chicago, I'm a rock with. I like Cleo's a lot. Cleo's right here on 43rd and Cottage Grove is really good. Okay. And I'm gonna shout out my man Kenny Johnson, who keeps putting on for Black folk with his Bureau Bar and restaurant. He's got Bureau Pizza company coming soon. He hires us. He creates space for Black folks to hang out in quarantine, man, he was like the one black spot that stayed open, like reopened when he could, and had an outdoor patio and was something to do. We were all standing outside last year looking at each other, like, you know, but it was something. So I want to give that brother a shout out here too locally. Those are a few of them.
Did you hear this, Self? He
Yeah.
said that the brother hires brothers.
Yes, he does. I'm a
The
witness.
brother doesn't say, I can't find any black people that's going to show up to work. All the black people ignorant. All the black people still. See, we don't know how to just fire that person and move to the next one like everybody else does. You know, we just don't know how to do it. We expend too much time and energy and on the stuff that's not working. But we don't value when we get the good employee who's showing up and doing their thing. We don't say, hey, look, I got big plans for you. Here's a raise. We don't do that. So that's how we end up with whatever we end up with. So big ups to him, you know. Big ups. Stop cutting corners, black people. Hire your people. And I want to see y'all start hiring your people to cut your grass and stuff too. I'm tired of hearing this nonsense. I'm tired. Y'all cheap. Y'all cheap and y'all killing yourselves. And then you're wondering why those same kids are breaking in your cars, looking for your guns so they can carjack you the next day. You're wondering why. You're wondering why. But I digress because you're a CEO and we don't do that. Self Love, that's another show. These are the quick hits and these are true or false. True or false? There is a God.
True.
True or false? Jeffrey Beckham Jr. has seen an apparition and or something that confirms the supernatural.
True.
True or false? Jeffrey Beckham Jr. has seen an unidentified flying object.
False.
True or false? Jeffrey Beckham Jr. has seen an alien.
I'm gonna go with false. Although my conspiracy theories, I'd be like, man, that person wasn't human. Never mind. I'm gonna go with false for now, though, so I can prove it.
Man. What's my man? He just died. The one was lying with Bush about all the wars in Iraq. He looks like this.
Donald Rumsfeld.
Yeah, man. Big ups to him and condolences to his family. And, you know, God bless the dead. But he really didn't come off as much human to me. All right, true or false? True or false? We are alone.
False.
True or false? Human moonwalked or walked on the moon during the Apollo program. True or false?
True.
Anything that we have not covered that you would like to briefly discuss before we end it with the name game, which takes like 5-10 minutes?
Man, just kudos to y'all. That's all. Brothers, keep going with this. Y'all are archiving Black history, history of our people. I think this is necessary. And I'm a supporter. I love it. And just keep going. That's all I got.
Hey, man, we appreciate you, brother. Definitely appreciate you. And I'm going to tell you something. Once YouTube gets their thumb out of TATN's butt, small ups to YouTube, because, you know, we got a ding for some copyright, whatever. We did it. I did it. So it is what it is. But so anyway, long story short, once we're able to edit, we normally chop these up into smaller segments so we can be texting them to you, and you might find some of these that you can use, you know, and share with your people as well. Anybody who's watching, this video will be up and you can just watch it in the same link, you know, and you can watch the rest of it tomorrow. The next day it'll be up into perpetuity. So Self, you had anything to add to that before we jump off this name game right quick?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think both of you brothers are genius level, and I think y'all share a birthday. Is your birthday September 11th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. I just wanted that stated for the record.
Yeah, man. Yeah. 9/11. 9/11. So, yeah, you go out there, turn it up, people looking at you funny. You know what I mean? It's my birthday. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It had nothing to do with all of that. I mean, God bless the dead once again, you know? Lord knows. So, yeah, so I don't know if you're familiar, bro, with a rapper. He's from the West Coast, originally out of Compton, I believe. He fancies himself some sort of a rapper. He goes by The Game.
Oh,
You
yeah.
familiar with The Game? Okay,
Mhm.
good. That makes it easier. So in many of The Game songs, and big up to The Game and also to the Blood Network. Nobody's trying to, have any problems like that. Because I love The Game and the way he moves. We have to say this because, some of his fans, they'll pistol whip you. So, or attempt to. Watch yourself. So my point is, The Game. He drops a lot of names in a lot of his records. He'll be like Dr. King and Rosa Parks and blah, blah, blah. So we fancied a game called The Game Name Game, where it's not a faux pas to be a name dropper. You know how you're at an event or a banquet and somebody comes over to you and they drop a name and you're like, ugh. I mean, sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not. Now it's going to be appropriate to drop names. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you clues, and you just have to come up with the name of the person that we're thinking of. There is no penalty for a wrong guess. However, each clue I give you is going to cost you a point.
Okay.
There we go. I'll give you a free clue. They're all from Chicago. If they're not from Chicago, you'll get that as a free clue. So here we go. College dropout.
Kanye West.
Ding, 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 ding. This dreamer started a men's social college fraternity at Indiana University in 1911.
Elder Watson Diggs.
Ding, 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 ding. That's right. Kappa Alpha Nu, everybody. Here we go. This gentleman is not from Chicago. That's your free clue. I should have told you that on Brother Diggs.
Yeah, but you knew I would get it. That's why I was like, I didn't know he was from Chicago. That's why you messed me up. I was like, he's not from Chicago.
Yeah, but that was misleading.
Talk about that after. Yeah.
No, I should have thrown that out there. All right, but yeah, so this brother is not from Chicago. Not from Chicago. There we go. Self, was that? Oh no, this is the last one. The first three are the easiest.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Because of this Noop, this chapter Invisible Noop, the slam dunk was once banned from the National Basketball Association.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Ding, 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 ding. He also claimed to have slept with over 30,000 women. Scored 100 points in an NBA game. Won a championship with the Lakers. And he's also known as the Stilt. That's right. Mm-hmm. All right, they're going to start getting a little more difficult. The next three. Here we go.
Your 9-pointers, the next three. Those were 6-pointers.
Correct. So these are 9 points each. Good job, Self. All right, so this individual is not from Chicago. Is not from Chicago. All right. Philadelphia-born comedian, doctor of education. That's your first clue.
Okay.
Philadelphia-born comedian and a doctor of education. Second one. May or may not have slipped roofies to numerous women.
Bill Cosby.
Ding, 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 ding. Allegedly. Dr. Bill Cosby. That's right.
Dr. William H. Cosby.
Ding, 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 ding. All right, so if that cost him a point, though, because he needed an extra.
8 right there.
I needed an extra clue.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. All right. Remember the rules of the game. First clue. When they go low, we
Michelle
go
Obama.
Ding, 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 ding. Big ups to Michelle, Whitney Young. We got some more stuff in there. We ain't gonna give away the clues because other people are gonna play the game. All right, here we go. Is this the next segment, Self?
No, this is the last one in it.
Okay, yeah. Here we go. Last one of the 9 pointers. All right. Remember the rules of the game. Thomas Paine, revolutionary author, has a famous book that this gentleman shares a name with. Thomas Paine wrote a book.
No. Okay.
In the Revolutionary days that they said sparked off the revolution. It's a book that I'm working on for my people. It had a title. This person shares a name. You want another clue?
Nope. Thomas Paine's book was called. Oh, hold on.
You should know this, Marion.
I should know this.
Oh yeah, they were ramming this. That boy, Ray School, boy.
Oh my gosh. I should know. Hold on. Don't tell me. Forefather Thomas Paine wrote a book. What was the name of that book?
It was a famous
Republican
historical
philosopher.
It's a historical book that roused up. It roused up the colonists and told them that
Common Sense. Yeah, because you said I had to think about rap. Chicago. That's my clue.
Now see, people. That's how you expand your brain. That's how you keep those neurons firing your brain. You see what he did there? He was thinking. You saw that? And that's something they're trying to create with this artificial intelligence, which I believe they will never do. They can't create consciousness. Self Love and I disagree. They're going to lie and say they did it. And then they're going to have these drones. It's a whole nother show doing all types of evil. And we're going to poke our, that's artificial intelligence came out there. Can't nobody control it. And they're going to go around and slaughter everybody. And we're going to say it's artificial intelligence when it's white supremacy. But that's just me talking. I'm a science fiction writer. So here we go. Let's get back to the game. All right.
These are 12 pointers.
Yeah, these are the 12 pointers. Woo. All right. This individual is not from Chicago. We do not believe. We're pretty sure he isn't. I'll give you a free clue. This gentleman was mentioned during today's show. First clue. This great silverback champion of Black Chicago shares a first name with a very famous Southside chicken franchise.
Harold Washington. I was gonna say it before you say I was Harold Washington. Let's go.
Ding, 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 ding. All right. They're gonna get more difficult, I promise you. All right, here we go. This individual is not from Chicago. First clue. A notorious name dropper. This individual is not from Chicago. It's a notorious name dropper. It's your first clue.
Okay. The game?
Ding, 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 ding. We got the game. Somebody's paying attention.
Yes.
Somebody is. Hold on. Somebody's paying attention. All right, here we go. All right.
So many don't.
Man, and he'd be tired by the end of the thing. All right, here we go. And then someone be sitting there drinking and smoking. He's not. 3. All right, here we go. We're not going to say what I'm not doing. All right. This individual is not from Chicago. That's your free clue. Not from Chicago. That is your free clue. This Noop is responsible for higher learning. Rest up.
John Singleton.
Chapter Invisible. Yes, that is correct. Rest up. Rest in peace. Yes, John Singleton. Yo. All right. Are we in the next segment yet, Self? Not yet.
Yes. Now we're in the 18 pointers.
All right. Well, you're gonna have to stretch your brain. Maybe. We'll see. Because he went out there and he was in Marion and He's younger than us, Self, but we'll see. Some of these cats have been in the news. Some of these cats have been in the news recently, so we don't know. All right, but here we go. No free clues on this one. This silverback was born in Jackson, Mississippi, and was said to be the founder of the Growth and Development Movement. Growth and Development Movement. Born in Jackson, Mississippi.
Growth and Development Movement. I'm going to guess here, but I'm going to say W.E.B. Du Bois.
Next clue.
Okay.
This silverback who was born in Jackson, Mississippi and founded, and founded the Growth and Development Movement. He was said to have curbed Illinois State Prison inmate on inmate sexual assault in Joliet Prison once he became incarcerated. Born in Jackson, Mississippi, founded Growth and Development, was said to have curbed or put a stop to Illinois State inmate on inmate sexual assault in Joliet Prison.
Oh. Hold on, Larry Hoover.
That's right.
I got to play the GD Growth and Development Movement.
Hey, the kids at Marian Catholic was like, Larry Hoover.
Larry Hoover. That's exactly who it was. I was like, let me think, man.
Hey, that's all right. I told you they're going to get a little more difficult for you.
That was tough. That was a tough one.
Somebody my age, and he was recently, I gave you a hint. He was recently in the news because they just decided they weren't going to let him out of jail. And the judge said, well, his crime was, this was the judge's thing. His crime was conspiring and getting other people to kill people. And I don't know that, being, 78 years old or however old he is now, I don't know if that would stop him from doing that. Really? Really? Man. You know what I mean? Like, really? Really. So the argument is he's older. He's an elder now. He's not, conspiring to do these crimes. And so that's what they're using against the black man that, so they left him in jail and free Larry Hoover. This is me talking. This isn't the CEO. All right, here we go. We got
prison is slavery. Just my opinion.
According to the 13th Amendment. Mm-hmm. Here we go. All righty. This individual, it's really unknown where this individual is from. First clue. 1750s settler, melanated, believed to be of Haitian origin, who became the first permanent non-indigenous settler of what would later become known as Chi-Town. That's your first clue.
Oh, John Baptiste Point du Sable.
Ding, 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 ding.
They're not going to teach them that at Marian Catholic. All right, here we go. Here we go. This gentleman is not from Chicago. This silverback is said to be the founder of the El Rukins, or a street gang on the street that you once resided on.
Jeff Ford.
Ding, 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 ding,
ding, ding, ding. I bet you he knows that one. Ding, 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 ding. Bet you he's not going to say Booker T. Washington on that one.
Right. I got that one real quick. This is the last question, and it's a 36-pointer.
Yes, it's worth double. All right. Here we go. There are no free clues, and after this, you're finished, and we appreciate you. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And let me pause this. If you have to, you can ask the chat, phone a friend, and all that. But here we go. Okay, here we go. have at it. Remember the rules of the game.
Okay.
This artist is known for a work of art entitled Have a Dream. Have a Dream. Chicago artist. This artist is also responsible for a work of art entitled Earth is Not Our Home. Earth
Is that Kadir Nelson?
is not our home.
Is it Kadir
Remember, there's
Nelson?
it's not Kadir. There is
He's
no
not from Chicago.
There is no penalty for wrong guess.
You know who I think it is my other brother that paints from here.
He's a Bronzeville giant. That's a free clue.
The Astor Gates?
What'd you say?
Not the Astor.
No.
Then it's got to be Charles White.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna keep it going. You might not. You
Here's
might
the
not.
crazy part. Charles White, the Astor Gates, both from Chicago, both have paintings called "Have a Dream." That's crazy. That's
well,
crazy. But
we'll see, because you could know. Maybe it's me, but I don't know. We'll see.
You know who it is? It's the other guy who paints in black that I'm tripping.
Next clue: Universal Alley Jazz Jam. I don't know if that means anything to you. Universal Alley Jazz Jam. The free clue is artist with a doctorate in theology.
I'm eating all my points up here. Artist with a doctorate in theology. That's from Chicago.
We're gonna pause it.
Let's pause it. Painted Half a Dream. It's not Charles White. It's not the Bronzeville Giant. Who am I not thinking of? Like, it's not the Gouchards.
Well, you can use your Ask the Chat.
I need to ask the chat. Do we have any in the chat? What do we have in the chat?
Well, you're looking at I don't know if this means anything to you. Reverend Ceda Weber. Reverend Ceda Weber. He recently passed.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just thought you'd know it off of that. So, but you still get the points. You don't get all the points, but yeah. Look him up, Reverend.
I gotta check him out.
Ceda. Let me see.
Spell it.
SIDDHA, and then Weber.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a mentor for Cosmo. With they do a lot of murals and stuff like that. And he did a lot of those pieces that's under the viaducts and stuff like that. He was it's a brother, but should be more of a everyday name. But you know how that goes in our community. You know how that goes. We don't control our own voice. So, but brother, that wraps it up, man. Like, you got any big ups, any shout outs you want to send?
Yeah, man. Big ups. Definitely Chicago Scholars, my org, my staff. They're great. Big up the Noops, all the Noops in Chicago who have definitely leaned in and showed so much support with the art. Here across the country, brothers have definitely been leaning in and making sure that they support and showing up for me. I appreciate it. And then, big ups for the community, man. Like, community has been holding me down. Since I got the role of Chicago Scholars, I've gotten a lot of love from folk, a lot of donations. We need more because we are a nonprofit. And yeah, that's it. Big up my family always. My nephew who's playing in the tournament in Orlando this weekend. Big ups to him and his team. He plays for Anoop, Marcus Spencer, IBA Stars. Yo, I made sure that I keep the brothers around him early so he knows what it is when he gets off to school. Yeah. So, and then big ups for everybody, man, for making it through. Those that have kind of made it through this rough year and a half, 14 months. We've had 15 months. Like, big up for ourselves because we still here.
And Noop, I like you saying community as opposed to hood. You know, we like neighborhood, we like community. We're changing the lexicon here. This is a gutter language we speak, so our community is not holding you down. It is, in fact, lifting you up as you're lifting it up. Words are powerful. Words are very powerful, man. And as you are, King, as you are. Yes. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you again for
Man,
coming, bro.
we
Man, it's been a blessing. You know what I mean?
We start how we end it. Yo.
Yes, sir.
Show yourself out. We don't kick no noobs out. That's for sure.
Love, honor, respect.
Man,
Bless
yo.
you, bro. Appreciate y'all, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
Hey, we're going to build. We got to keep building.
Yes, sir.
Tell you what, Self, that was a great job. You getting him into the give back gang.
Yes.
Gang.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, ran into him, and I was just like, it shook me to you know, talk to him. Like, I was like, hey, no, I gotta. And he's like, for sure. You know what I mean? Say, hey, I need you to come on this platform and expand us. Just like everybody that we bring on the show, you know what I mean?
Facts.
That he did.
I was gonna say that exactly. He did exactly that, didn't he?
Yes.
Gym Factory.
Oh my goodness gracious! It might have been the less we've ever talked.
Yeah. I mean, very well versed.
Yeah.
You know.
On point.
Extremely bright.
Community about the, you know.
Man, community first.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur, CEO, mentor.
Yeah. And he said there's opportunities. So, you know, check it out to be mentors. We need everybody to be involved.
All hands on deck. Yeah, because, you know, they say ain't no black man doing nothing. We're here to dispel all that.
That's what we're here for.
So, self-love, the riddle. Hold on, let me reread it before you.
Yeah, because I thought I knew it, but what was
go
it?
giving your answer. What has 13 hearts but 0 organs?
A deck of cards.
Absolutely. Yeah. You knew that?
Yeah.
You heard it before?
No.
I figured you would get it because you played a lot of cards. I said, Self's gonna get this one.
I was like, you said it. You say hold it for later.
And y'all used to count cards like that in Bid Wiz. Y'all used to be counting the card.
Yes.
Yeah. The math don't lie, like you say. I use more intuition with it. I normally was right. Sometimes you'd be wrong and get your, you know, your dick mustard. But yeah, everybody's like, what are you playing that? Yeah.
I didn't think you had that. Man, I thought I was.
I thought I had the last one. Yep, you played and you got your mustard.
That's funny.
Yeah, but bro, before you jump into your thing here, yeah, man, that was just magnanimous though, man. Big ups to that Noop. And Delta Omega. Big ups to them. So yeah, man. So yeah, who stole the soul? We got next week.
Oh,
the weaponization of hip hop.
Yes, sir.
You've unpack the book. I just recently finished, as promised, unpacking the book. Now I'm reading. Well, I've got to order the, you know the one, 101,000 Reasons Why the Black Man is going to be angry because Malcolm X got killed and we didn't do nothing about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That
but
one.
yes, that's next.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, and that's next. But man, yeah, powerful book, man. A lot of brothers who sat on this show was recommending it, and
yeah, for good reason.
Yes. This silverback was one of the first to do our Black Ed, Brother Bernard Creamer.
Yes, sir.
Our Black Ed series. And Gem Factory.
Yes.
Right? I mean, hell, if these shows were in Sierra Leone, God forbid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blood gems.
Man.
But any case, he's agreed to come back because that video, that live got deleted for some reason, but he's agreed to come back, Self. But we're covering we're going to unpack the book.
Facts.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great, great, great conversation because the book is outstanding.
Yeah, we're starting our Black Author series. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And when we're not reading the Cliff Notes, we're actually going to read the what, Self?
Book.
Yeah. I figured out 30, 45 minutes of reading a day. I can finish 2 to 3 books a month.
Facts.
Yeah. Hammer right through them. But at any rate, that's next week, good brother. So, hey, big ups, huh?
Big ups, man.
So go.
Looking forward to that conversation.
Thumb through it, Self. Thumb through the book. Get yourself back up to breast.
I know.
As we throw it to you for Wordsmith's Wordsmith's final words out here.
We had a great one today. Multiplicity at play. Speaking on different levels of how to get up out of dismay. We talked about the school and the mentoring and the art. Many different avenues and ways to spark inspiration to take all of us to the next level of elevation. Right now is our space and time. And we gotta get it. Work at your craft daily and never forget it. It's never too late to work to be great and to give back, because that's where it's at.
Man, greatness is contagious, brother.
Facts.
Bullets are boomerangs.
Stand your ground.
Murder is suicide.
An eye for an eye.
Hey, y'all check out Mouthpiece Included right here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Yep. Yeah, we talking about Kwame Brown. He popped Rachel Nichols' cherry. He said, we're going to unpack a whole lot. I don't know if we can say pop cherry on the show, but there we go. All right. We said it. It's there. It's out there. All right. Silence. Is that where we're at? Silence is violence? Yeah.
If you see something, say something.
It's good, though.
I can't even find it.
Hey, you're right on point, though. Greed plus ego over fear. That's how you create a slave.
Oh, goodness.
Charity
times
humility
Charity plus humility times love is freedom.
Facts. Do not, under any circumstance, outside of Silverdale or your community or your elders, don't answer questions.
Question everything.
Now, fear is like greatness. Fear is contagious. But it's a ghost, because fear is an illusion.
Vibrate love.
Forgiveness and charity, yeah, well, those are the highest vibrations.
So, do something charitable for an enemy and end the beef.
Delph, a wise man said that hurt people go out and hurt people.
Man, healthy people heal people.
Free Chief Jeff Fort.
Free Larry Hoover.
Man, free Larry Hoover. Man, y'all on some bullshit.
Man.
Free all the guys, man.
Yeah, because prison is slavery.
Absolutely. Self-love, they gotta be like St. Pedro, that's St. Peter, and walk on H2O, brother.
Man, gotta move mountains.
Move mountains.
Yes, sir.
Those mountains?
Yes, sir.
And just how in God's creation is a king supposed to move a mountain, brother?
They say you just need the faith of a mustard seed.
Mustard seed.
We got way more than that.